What is up, and welcome back to Cryptographics. I am super stoked for this stream. It is going to be a build on TitanX, build on 28 mega stream with all your favorite builders, your favorite protocols that are either already launched or coming with some faces you've never seen on this channel before. And I'm super excited to bring to you. It's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be super educational, and you're going to be able to ask all of your questions. So get hyped. We are going to get you and everyone watching excited for the future of TitanX and X28 in just one moment. Gentlemen, welcome. I'm super excited to have you guys here. This is gonna be a lot of fun. I know a lot of you I haven't had the pleasure of having on the channel yet. So Dave, Utah, Callum, Mike, welcome, guys.
Thank you, man.
Yep, thanks for having us.
Of course. I'm really looking forward to this stream because there's just so much happening. So, God, I feel like because there's so much to talk about, I want to start off with going to Callum here, because Callum, fresh out of the gate with Phoenix, man, I got so many questions for you, and then I want to go around, and guys, for this stream, anything you have to say, I don't feel like you have to wait to speak. If you got questions, let's go for it. And chat, if you have questions as well, same to you. I want everyone to be engaged here. I want to have a big community stream. So Callum, let's start off with you, my man. How are you feeling with Phoenix launching? How's everything going? And what are you seeing? What's going through your head right now? Because Phoenix literally just went live 2 days ago. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. What's going through my head? I mean, I'm happy. Everything's coming smooth. Everything's working well. There's been, I think, 340 billion Phoenix minted at the 1-to-1 ratio of TitanX. And that was just for the first 24 hours. So now it's rolled over to the first decrease. So now it's for every one TitanX, you can get 0.95 Phoenix. But yeah, I think everything went perfectly. The best launch. I was a little bit nervous launching in these kind of market conditions. I think sentiment's a little bit low for everyone, but I think bringing all these new projects that us founders have kind of to light and launching now is obviously a good time. If you were going to invest in anything, you'd be investing at the bottoms of the market. So I feel like it's a good way to enter the market is at kind of a low, because we all know where TitanX is going. So but I'm just so excited to be here. I'm so excited with how Phoenix has been running. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. And shout out to you for because you basically came out of nowhere. Was it like a month or two ago? Started streaming, and people loved your content right away. You're like, people really vibed with you, and next thing you know, boom, this fantastic idea. Phoenix comes out, and now we're live. So it's crazy how fast things go. I mean, our community is just absolutely blowing up in terms of the community, the founders, the builders, the familiar faces here. So before we go more into Phoenix, though, I really want to start with going into giving the audience time to ask what is Phoenix? How do people get involved? Like the game theory, the systemic design of it all. But I want to go around and make sure the audience knows who's who on the stream here. So we know Callum. Callum is the founder of Phoenix.win. We got Mike Dean. I'm sure you guys know who this guy is now. The mythical robot who has built TitanX Hub, who is actually going to be releasing the Matrix, which is a fantastic protocol that we're going to get into a little bit later. And Mike, what else do you have to say about yourself in terms of how people might not already know you, or how people would know you?
Yes, I mean, obviously, I'm the robot. I get no sleep. I work 24/7. I wish that would be the case, to be honest, but that's not the case. But over the last few days, obviously, a lot of testing has been going on. The launch for Matrix is on the 17th, so sleep is a bit rare now. So there's a lot of testing. I mean, even just today, it was just the whole day pretty much going through the checklist, checking everything, UI, some few UI fixes here and there. And tomorrow again, Mike Dean is AI. All right. McKinsey, shout out to you. And I mean, all in all, the preparation is working very well, and I'm really looking forward for the launch. And yeah, there is definitely a lot of things I've learned along the way. And obviously I've been also helping out few people here and there, Callum as well. So yeah, learning also a lot of things along the way. So I'm really looking forward. And shout out to McKinsey, by the way. The logo of Matrix, I extra went to McKinsey. I was like, hey, these are the logos I'm thinking of using. Which ones would you like? And then there was back and forth, and then some few changes were made. So shout out to McKinsey. I think he has definitely an eye for design. That's why it's like for design stuff, feedback stuff, I like to hear McKinsey.
Yeah, McKinsey is fantastic. Very, very good. Very smart. Has a lot of great engagement on Twitter. Great marketer. And we just have a great community. We really do, you know? And so, Mike, I appreciate you introducing yourself. And Dave, welcome to the channel. Welcome. And tell us a bit about you, because you've released Awesome X. You've got another protocol coming, I believe. And I'm sure there's so much more going on in the old noggin as well as to come. So please, yeah, tell us about yourself and what you got going on.
Yeah, man. First, your beard is awesome, bro. You have because I remember watching you when you didn't have a beard, and like looks epic. So nice work.
Thank you.
And then the other thing I just want to mention, what you were saying about Callum kind of coming up out of nowhere. You know, what's funny is like it seems like that, but Callum, you've been around TitanX for like pretty much since the beginning. See, that's the thing. The cool thing about us as builders is we're community members first. Like we've been in this like for a while because TitanX kind of captured us somehow. And so we've been participating as community members for so long. And then it seems like you come out of nowhere because then you get so amped and so you're like, I gotta do a channel, right? And then you just start your channel, but you've been here for a while, and then you start your channel, and then you're really consistent with it, and then you start really providing so much value for free prior. And this is actually the way TitanX kind of these protocols are launching. People start as community members, they start providing free value. Like look at Mike Dean, you've provided free value since your TitanX hub was a Google Sheet, and you're doing that also while you're building your own protocols and while you're working. Like most of us are also working. So anyways, we provide value, and then that leads to us wanting to build something, or maybe we wanted to build something before we started providing value, but the key is we provide value first and then through the protocol. So anyways, kind of my journey too, I was a community member, and I really wanted to, I started a channel, and I really wanted to talk about something I cared about. But it wasn't going to, I love XRP, and I did back then, but it wasn't going to be a channel about XRP, and it wasn't going to be just a general crypto channel either. I wanted to find something that I could really kind of talk about. And that's really where Crypto Awesome started. And I've always wanted to start something, but I had to have this community to learn. I didn't even know what fair launch was before TitanX. I didn't know what hyperdeflation was before TitanX. It really has hyperdeflation really wasn't a thing actually before TitanX. And that's really kind of what captured me. So, I wanted to build something. Inferno came out. I was day one in everything up until, from Inferno, mostly day one, as much as I can be now. There's a lot coming out, but anyways, Inferno just had me, man. I loved Inferno. It was my favorite protocol. I minted every single, of the 8 days that was minting. Wish I would have gone heavier day one, like we always kind of do after the thing plays out. But anyways, I wanted to do something, and I wanted to do something that's like, I needed to be able to afford it. I didn't know how much this stuff was going to cost, like how much it's going to cost to build. Like, we're not asking people to fund this stuff. That's the other thing. Like the builders in TitanX, we're not saying, hey guys, sacrifice some money to me. Hey, can we go get a company to fund it? This is going to cost $50,000, right? It's like 50 grand, whatever it's going to cost. And it's like, how are you going to get that money? Well, we're not asking anybody for it. We're finding it. We're getting the passion. We're putting our money on the table to build these things. All of us, all of the builders in TitanX. And then we launch it. It's kind of like when you start a business, You fund the business, and then you launch the business, and you see how the business does, and then you market the business. This is just decentralized, but we're kind of doing it in a way where we're not asking the community to risk anything with us. We are risking, we're putting ourselves on the line, and then we're launching. And so, sorry, that was a little rant, but
no, you're good. That was great. I appreciated that. There's so much truth in that. Seriously.
Cool. Yeah. And then AwesomeX, very simple. AwesomeX is so simple. And actually it's been innovated on already, like Flare, man, goodness. I wish I would have done that. But it's because like every Friday when you mint, you claim on Saturday, there's a whole week, like an empty week in crypto is like a year and a half in the real world. And so then the next Friday comes, oh yeah, you can mint again. But it's like, it's that daily interaction that I think that I'm learning that I want to give people. So AwesomeX is, and there is available daily interaction with AwesomeX. If you use it as the compounding play, there is daily interaction. It's just not like in the protocol. It's on the user to play it if they want to, because the ROI is revealed. But there's a lot more to that game than that ROI. So anyways, AwesomeX happened, but the AwesomeX isn't it. That's literally an input token. It's perpetually minting thing. It's Infernal. That's perpetual. But anyways, it is kind of perpetual. People aren't minting right now. So it's kind of almost pretty much found a nice cap supply. We burned 56%, over 56% of the entire supply so far of AwesomeX. And we have currently 3 clear projects in development. There's multiple other ones. We also have Scale built on it. E280 has an LP with it now. Shogun obviously has an LP with it. So it's fun kind of seeing things evolve and seeing where they go. I'm just stoked on being a part of this ecosystem. I've never been part of a crypto of an internet community, let alone a crypto community. And we're I'll put us up against anybody. I think we have the best community ever. Everybody helps each other. We're definitely synergistic and not cannibalistic. We give support to other protocols as we're building. Like that's pretty much, I don't know if that's even really a thing ever anywhere else in DeFi or in crypto. It's like typically protocols will be siloed and maybe they get shilled by someone, but it's not like they're like, yeah, I'm giving this much to your vault that's going to help perpetuate this and that. And like, it's very different what we're doing here. And I'm just like along for the ride. I'm very honored to be a peer with all of you. And I'm so excited about TORUS because you're doing that's the other thing. TitanX breeds innovation. We're bringing people together that are innovating on levels that I don't think really has happened yet either. Like Steve with the perpetual auctions. Once that nut was cracked, boom, we're all finding value in that now. And it's like, it's because it's cap supply perpetual auctions. And then with the NFT hybrid stuff and everything else that's happening. Anyways, MemeFi. I mean, there's just some really fun stuff. And then you are doing some new innovations that actually haven't really been done either with TORUS. And so I can't really wait to really wrap my head around that because I've been trying to watch your videos and really kind of get it. I know I will, but like, it's fascinating what you're doing and I can't wait to see it play out, but I love why you're doing it. Anyways, that's what's going on in my head.
Well, you're so right though. We're in an amazing community right now that's literally building, supporting. And I mean, this to me is a perfect example of what happens when you basically have an incredibly supportive environment for creativity and you have a standard for it. You're not just like, guys, go nuts, right? And then you get all these different walks of life coming and taking advantage of, the goodness of how people want to operate and all that good stuff. But you are allowing people to show up with a standard, show up with a certain set of values, operate within that, and then create whatever the hell they can. And like you said, all of these different tokens from AwesomeX to Matrix to Phoenix to Blaze to even all the way down to TitanX, DragonX, Hyper Hydra. Those are all the brainchilds and the love childs of, innovation on innovation on innovation. And the more we can support each other in and however that looks, it might be conversations like this. It might be, I'll put 8% into your vault. It might be marketing. It might be whatever, right? But nonetheless, it's the one absolutely incredible thing about this ecosystem. And it's cool that we can all come here together saying yes to the fact that that's real. I mean, it's so
And even
unique.
just being able to send a question that you really need an answer to directly to these, and they get back to you. You know, I mean, that's huge right there alone. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
100%. The fact that we can reach out to one another and say, hey, can you read this? Can you tell me if I'm missing anything? And it's like, you can tell there's not malice. There's not like a competitive edge of like, well, I don't really want to talk to you because, you know, you're going to take away from my protocol.
Right.
It's just support, which is so cool. It's so refreshing and it's inspiring, you know, which is why we're doing this stream today. Cause like, it's about time we come rally together and see how strong this community really is. Yeah.
Jake built a boat that when one boat rises, like we're all rising together. Now it's levered both ways. So, I mean, when TitanX goes down, like, you know, we got red circles.
Both ways.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that up is coming.
Oh, for sure. Well, if you saw my post, and don't worry, Utah, I'm coming to you in a second here. But if you guys see my post, or if you watching has not, I would go recommend checking it out on Twitter. It talks about the liquidity setup and like our boat, for example, like how our boat compares to other boats like ETH and BTC. And it might blow your mind at the stats that came out of that. I wasn't expecting to see exactly what I found, but I mean, we are sitting in such a great boat right now. Even if you were to combine the entire market cap of the ecosystem that we have, instead of just the market cap of TitanX, it's insane. So we'll get to that in a bit here. But to your point, yeah, we're in a pretty damn good boat. And thank you, Jake, for starting that construction. And thank you to all of you and all the guys that are going to come on the stream as well for renovating, for improving upon, and expanding on the original idea. So yeah, thank you guys.
If I could just say something, I think I've experienced that in, like you were saying, I was just in the background in the community, but it was only until the last few months where I decided to start streaming and start my like public journey. And it has been amazing. I'm on a stream right now with 4 other founders, and it's like I'm part of it. And I think it just shows how supportive and how this community has kind of formed, that anyone, if you just have an idea and you want to be part of it, you can be. It literally does not matter. So yeah, my experience in the community has been amazing. And I think let's do everything to kind of maintain it.
Yep, 100%. I love the ethos that we have. The standard that we have right now is perfect on all levels. I couldn't agree more.
I remember Callum, I don't know, I think 2 months ago, or I'm not exactly sure, but I think it should be around that time. He sent me the DM and he's like, I have this idea and I want to build and everything. So I was just like, I started talking to him a little bit and then found out how old? You're 21, Callum, is that correct?
Yeah, 21, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then I was just like, oh my God, man. It's like when I was 21, I'm not so sure if I would have been taking that kind of a risk, let's say, right?
Yeah.
I think I would be way more fearful and stuff. So I really shout out to you, Callum, that you just took upon yourself, and I just gave you some few tips along the way. And yeah, exactly. I mean, as I said yesterday as well, for a lot of, let's say, new people who have ideas and they're trying to build, I think the important thing is just to know that I think the analogy I made yesterday was the following, right? If you're moving into a small village, let's say, and nobody knows who you are, you need to somewhat start providing somewhat of value or something you need to do so that you get known some ways. And I think Callum did it the right way, essentially, right? I just told him like, hey, man, just start DMing people, get on streams, create a YouTube channel, start streaming. I mean, different people have different ways how to express themselves, right? I mean, there's people who are more artistic, and you can be more on Twitter side of things, or you can create a website. I mean, that's like my avenue, I guess, right? The TitanX Hub and things like that. But I think for everybody who is out there, they have something in them which they can do, and I think just doing that will make we start just doing that first. I think that's just very important.
100%, man. 100%. Well, let me go to Utah though, because Utah, we haven't had a chance to connect even outside of this yet. And I'm excited to have you on because I know you've built and been a part of Blaze. You've got Inferno under your belt and soon to be Stacks. So tell me, man, how are you? How are things going? What's going on in your world? And based on everything else we've been talking about, man, like whatever you have to say, I'd love to hear.
Well, first of all, I'm grateful to be here. I'm in good company. And sometimes I forget. Sometimes I can't see the forest through the trees, right? And Dave gets on here and just brings it all full circle. He's like, he's right, man. I'm pumped. Like, this kind of stuff, in my experience, doesn't really happen in the real world. Like, if I'm running a business and there's 4 other guys in the same field that I'm in that want to move in to my county and start the same exact business, like, we don't rush over there and help them, right? Like, it doesn't really work like that because there's market share and things like that. And you don't really do things like that in the real world, you know? But here it's completely different. Like, we do those things here. And it's, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I guess synergy, like Dave said, would be the way to describe it. We're helping each other, and in the process of helping each other, we're helping TitanX, and we're helping the entire community as a whole. And that is because of the ethos, right? Otherwise, it would just be the wild, wild west. I mean, all of us want to level up every time we come up with a new protocol. Every time somebody launches a new protocol, we see something they've done, and we'd be like, "Damn, that's awesome. We need to integrate that." And what it does is it breeds excellence because everybody just starts leveling up, leveling up, leveling up. I mean, you look at the auctions. That started with Blaze, you know, and you start looking at these mint cycles and everything, and Inferno was huge for that. And then people have just expanded upon those things, you know, like mining, you know, TitanX started that. Um, Buy and burns, you know, I'm not going to say TitanX started it, but they really, been a huge part of TitanX. So things are just different here, you know, everything's next level here. And man, I'm so grateful to be amongst other people. Being a builder was not, it wasn't something I was setting out to do. Just sometimes I don't remember who said it, but there's a famous entrepreneur who said, if somebody asks you if you know how to do something, don't say no, say yes, and then figure it out. And so you know, if the opportunity comes, say yes, and then just learn and go and just do what you can, you know, because opportunities sometimes they just present themselves. And if you say yes and you figure it out and you go with it, you know, it could open up a lot of doors for you.
Oh, 100%. Is that how you ran into the Blaze team and started doing or got in cahoots with them? Like, how did that all work out?
So I was in the mastermind, and you know, Jake launched TitanX, was making the private Telegram public for TitanX, said he needed 2 moderators, hit up Bad Sports and me, said, "Hey, you 2 want to do it?" And never moderated a chat before, never even been in Telegram before until I joined the mastermind, you know. This was all really new to me. I said, okay. So there we go, you know, and then we're learning on the fly, and the Telegram, you know, blew up. And then Steve DeFi said he wanted to start a project, and if people are interested, they should reach out to him. And I didn't see that message, but Rain Man saw that message, and Rain Man reached out to me and said, "Hey, Steve DeFi wants to start something. If you're interested, reach out to him." So I did, and then, you know, Blaze started that way with Ali and Josh and Scotty and Steve DeFi, and yeah, it all just kind of started there. And then, you know, Inferno came, and then the team kind of branched out, and people started doing their own things. And I wasn't planning on building anything, but then E280 came out, man, and E280, to me, that was a game changer. Using these bots, you know what I mean, to work for you, flipping the script on these bots and using them to work for you. Oh man, that's so awesome. And just the ease of it, the fact that you can just mint an NFT and hold it. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is not sell it right away, you know. And I'm older, you know, I'm 52, so I like the staking, I like the holding. I don't want to be game theory every single day. You know, on my laptop doing that. I know some people love that, and TitanX has that too if you want that, you know. But for me, I like it simple. And so I was like, I have an idea. And I just like you guys say, I messaged dude. You know, he's in a totally different community. hey, dude, I have this idea, and it was inspired by E280, and I want to run it by you. Okay, we have a phone call. Oh man, I love that idea. You want to build it? Yeah, let's build it. And here we go.
That's awesome. It's cool how you can literally just reach out to someone again to circle back to what we were talking about. You can literally just say, I have an idea. I'm going to reach out to someone, and they could be like, holy moly, we need to build that. Yeah, we're going to build it. Okay, let's go. And then next thing you know, we're here on stream talking about the fact that Stacks is coming to life. So yeah, that is so cool. And I'm really excited to find out more about Stacks, because from the stream I've watched originally, it looks interesting. It gives people an ability to still earn the staking yield from the protocol without it being necessarily taken over, so to speak. So it's cool. So before we go off the deep end anywhere else, any philosophical or community stuff, I want to focus on what you guys are building and give you guys a chance to really get the viewers understood and educated on what you guys are building. So Callum, why don't you start us off? Let's dig into Phoenix. Now I'll bring up the DApp here and we will go into it. So if you were to summarize Phoenix, I know you've had this question before, in as few sentences, I'll give you that openness there, as few sentences as you need to get the point across of what Phoenix is, the value proposition, what users can expect. Lay it on us, man.
Okay, I'm going to try and make it really short and concise. Okay, so
you can't use ChatGPT on the fly here.
Yeah, let me just. So hyper deflationary, capped after 28 days, 4 buy and burn streams.
Nice.
That's pretty much the bullet points. And then you can go in depth. The four buy and burn streams, we have 3 stakes. We have TitanX stake, a Blaze stake, and a Flux stake. And obviously they pay out rewards. And those rewards fuel the Phoenix buy smart contract. Every time that's triggered, 50% of the Phoenix brought is burnt. The other 50% goes to an auction balance. After the 28-day fair launch, there's going to be auctions where 1% of that balance is going to be auctioned off daily and for TitanX. And that TitanX is going to be recycled into strengthening the 3 stakes and to burn even more Phoenix.
Love it. I love it. So why, and I know you've had this question so many times, but for my viewers, why the decision to go into the different staking pools specifically? Because obviously this is built on top of Inferno specifically. So can you talk about that relationship and why Phoenix was designed in the way that it was?
Yeah, 100%. So it's all kind of comes to this kingdom idea. So originally I wanted to build in TitanX, but Inferno was there and I was like, wow, this is amazing and so undervalued as well. And all these protocols that are building around Inferno, like Flux, obviously Blaze was there before, and it's all kind of has this hub where Flux supports Inferno. It's the biggest Inferno burner, and it leverages Inferno as well. And then Blaze was obviously originally where all of the Inferno guys came from. And there's this whole little community building around Inferno. And I was like, I've got a really good idea of a way to leverage this and just support this entire kind of sub-kingdom, sub-ecosystem in TitanX. So as I said before, Flux is the biggest Inferno burner. So if we're supporting Flux, we're supporting the Inferno burn. And our only LP is with Inferno. Our main LP, I should say, is with Inferno. So as we saw with Baby Dragon X, on top of Dragon X, the bonded liquidity plays in this ecosystem are insane. And when Dragon X did like a 10x, I think Baby Dragon X did a 10x by default, but then did another 10x on top of that, just by the additional buy pressure, which is insane. It's all these kind of stacked deflationary on top of deflationary. So that's why I decided to build on Inferno. And it just made sense with all these 3 stakes supporting. And obviously we wanted to meet the ethos as best as we could. So we have a TitanX stake, which shout out Mike. Matrix is going to be sending 2% of the TitanX that comes in to our stake. And Gotex, another Inferno Kingdom coin, is going to be sending 4% to this TitanX stake. And we just want to meet the ethos, burn as much TitanX as possible. If you go into the stakes, you'll be able to see on the right-hand side how much TitanX is ready to be staked. Is it 50, 57? Is that 67?
67 here.
67. Wow. Yes. 67 billion TitanX already burnt. And it's just over, it's about 28 hours old. So yeah.
That's
I hope that answers the question. I went on a bit of a rant.
Oh, no, that's perfect. I mean, I want to know more about this, and I want those who are watching to really understand, not like there's levels, right? There is the simple level of, okay, how does it operate? The second level of, okay, why is it beneficial to, how am I going to get anything, out of this? Then B, how does it impact the rest of the ecosystem, right? And then how does that translate back to the user experience of the price chart, or to ROI in the end? And so I would ask you, okay, if you're looking to the future in an ideal environment, not financial advice, this probably will never happen exactly the way that you or I could ever even think about it. But if you were to conceptualize best case scenario for how this operates, how do you see Inferno creating the underlying momentum that then translates back into Phoenix over time? And then how does the user experience that?
Yeah. So Inferno, the reason why we built on it and why I think it has a really good future is there are multiple projects, because it was completely fair launched. It was just released to the community by all the Blaze guys. Hi, Jake. You okay?
You?
Yes, it was just released to the community, and then people started building on top of it and burning Inferno. So now there are multiple projects like GoX, like Flux, that are actively making it more deflationary. So it's a perfect base for projects to build upon, because there is no more supply ever coming out for Inferno. And I think over 55% of all Inferno has been burnt forever. And that number keeps going up. So it's a perfect base to build upon, because it's hyper deflationary on top of hyper deflationary, on top of the underlying hyper deflationary base of TitanX.
That is sick. I love it. I'm excited to see, because, anytime you have another kingdom, so to speak, that begins to really flourish, it's going to create an underlying momentum that carries everything else forward. Whether it's the TitanX side of the ecosystem or Hyper or now the Inferno side, this is going to be exciting. Jake, real quick, welcome, man. Good to have you on here.
You, one question. Can somebody remove 2 destinations so I can stream to my YouTube next?
I would. Let me see what I can do here. I got my YouTube.
I'll remove my YouTube.
Yeah, just the lowest reach one, because we'll get a bunch of stuff on mine. All right, here we go.
Jake, what's your thoughts on Phoenix? I'd love to hear your feedback on what you think, what your thoughts are on Phoenix in general, and how you see it playing out for the ecosystem over time as well.
All right, let me start the stream.
Okay, I'll re-ask the question once the stream comes up.
All right, we're good to go.
Sweet. So I'll ask you. I'm excited to hear your opinion on this. With Phoenix, what are your thoughts? And then also, how do you see Phoenix impacting TitanX as a whole in the months and even years, because it ain't going away, to come?
So Phoenix is interesting, where 20% of TitanX goes to TitanX take. So that's essentially burned. I think the most interesting angle on Phoenix is the fact that it's built on Inferno. Inferno is massively hyperdeflationary. Like 57% of the supply is burned. It's just been a massive sleeper for so long. I don't know why. But it's just, even when you look at, I can talk about it because it's not my protocol. Like, it seems to be forming a triple bottom. You can't get anything better than a triple bottom, especially on the TitanX ratio. It just looks beautiful.
Ratio,
so, exactly. I think anybody that just sees that chart, you're like, oh yeah, that's a fucking no-brainer. So with Inferno, it's hyperdeflationary. It has a bunch of stuff built on top of it. It's built on a hyperdeflationary base, which is TitanX. So you have Inferno, which is hyperdeflationary, built on TitanX, which is hyperdeflationary, and then Phoenix is built on Inferno, which by default gets Inferno appreciation. And that's also hyperdeflationary. So now we're getting into this fantasy scenario that we used to talk about of like hyperdeflation on hyperdeflation on hyperdeflation. So this is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out once the volume in the ecosystem kicks up again. That's the thing I'm most excited about, because these are all leverage plays. So it's leverage on the way up, leverage on the way down. But one of the interesting things I've noticed is I thought the leverage down would be more aggressive than it was. So here's the interesting thing that I've noticed in the ecosystem. When TitanX goes up, the protocols built on top of TitanX tend to go up more than TitanX. But when TitanX goes down, the protocols tend to hold the same TitanX ratio. So it just tracks TitanX on the way down, but overperforms on the way up. Which is like what? I've seen that a lot across a lot of protocols. So you kind of get more upside with the same downside potential, which is wild. And I think TitanX is like the perfect example of this, because so from local height to where we are now, TitanX has roughly been around anywhere between a 9 to 12 TitanX ratio. That has just been steady. You would expect that TitanX to go down more when TitanX goes down, but nope. It just tracks TitanX on the way down and overperforms on the way up, which is crazy. So it's just been in the range, literally. Same thing with Inferno. Like Inferno has been roughly in the range as well. So this is the best kind of setup we could wish for, because usually on the way it works on Ethereum, so this is another benefit to our ecosystem. We have the same price difference on the way down, but overperformance on the way up. The way it works on Ethereum is if you have an altcoin on Ethereum, when Ethereum goes down, you tend to go down more. And when Ethereum goes up, you hopefully outperform, and it's not a guarantee. And TitanX overperformance seems to be a guarantee, and downside seems to be the same. So even in that aspect, we're better with the whole like core altcoin, which is sick. I was paying attention to that today. I was like, damn, okay, that's fucking cool. That's really cool. And you can see it in the chart. It's not like it's a hidden thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's
awesome.
insane. And I feel like people have forgot, because we've been in this kind of retracement or whatever. But when things were going up, when TitanX was pumping, everything pumps. Usually much more, because that is, like you were saying, the base layer that really takes it, which is just insane. And I can't wait. Hopefully, as soon as that happens again, I think that's the best thing to bring people. Green Candles is going to bring in a lot of users, I think.
Yep.
100%. It's going to be a really exciting time. We're getting to a point now where you can see that like all the underlying factors are lining up where the rubber band is stretching. And at some point, there's going to be too much tension on that, and it's going to have to release, you know? And so it's cool to be here, and it's cool for all you guys who are, I know, because obviously you just launched, Mike, you're about to launch, Stacks is about to go live. When's Draco about to, because we haven't gone to Draco, I haven't even mentioned Draco yet, Dave, but when's Draco going live as well?
Like I told everybody, I made some changes, and when you do that, you know, the devs are like, all right, you know, we got a couple more weeks here. It's going to be January, most likely, but later January.
Gotcha. But still, I mean, over these next few weeks, like we could be seeing a nice smooth bottom here. And if we get a bunch of protocols that are coming out, I mean, this is not financial advice, but typically protocols that have launched at the bottom of a range did really well the next time the price of the underlying asset went up. So not financial advice. Do what you want with that. But just saying.
Graphics, do you mind pulling up the Inferno TitanX ratio?
Yeah, of course. Where
I just find it quite interesting. But it's such a good point. Launching all these projects kind of at this low point is perfect. When would you invest in any asset is when it retraces, and then it's a perfect time to get in.
So let me delete all my stuff here.
And now there's way less TitanX that's going to exist. You know, there is this this magic moment that's about to happen. It's kind of happening, but it's a little slower than maybe our crypto brains want it to be. But it's not slow. Like really, when you're looking at it, it's just, you know, it's moving. But very soon there's not going to be that much TitanX. And because of X28, you know, obviously Shogun's killing it. But you know, and all these protocols now are building these loops. When TitanX comes in, it goes through X28, you know. So there's a handful of new protocols that are coming in that are going to really accelerate this process as well. So there's really not going to be much TitanX left at some point in the pretty near future, right when the market is ready to just explode, man. So it's going to be really fun to see. Like, we are at the base of a mountain. We've taken a couple steps up. We've taken like a couple steps up the mountain. And like when you hike up a mountain, you don't just hike straight up. Like you got to kind of go through a little ravine right here. You got to hike up and you got to go across this little thing. And then you got to keep hiking up again, right? But that peak, we're not even close. I hate not financial advice. I'm just passionate and I just see, you know, what I think I see here. And I think a lot of us kind of see a similar thing together. But yeah, if you're watching this video, you're early. Like you're here. Like we're guys, be encouraged. There's a lot coming.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's so simple to just stay level-headed by just looking at the TitanX stats page.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yep, that's another 0.3% gone. It's I don't look at anything else. I just look at that because that's such a massive leading indicator. Because like the last time we had that run from day 280 to the top, that was with 20 to 30 trillion of miners coming out. That was with stakes unlocking. That was with all this. There was a bunch of other stuff that happened during that period of time. Did it 10x? whatever happens next, it's clear skies. There's no more FUD event. There's no more ammo in the future. There's nothing more stopping it. It's just a hyperdeflationary core asset with an awesome ecosystem built around it, on it. Like you don't have that like, what happens if this? It's like, we're here. This is hyperdeflation. This is what we wanted for so long. And hyperdeflation is actual hyperdeflation. Like, I look at the stats page every day. We're still trying to get a chart up there so that people can just see it reduce over time. Because right now you can kind of see it if you track it. Like, you see the difference very clearly. But it would be cool if it was a chart as well that people can share on socials. I just feel calm. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's insane. This was 51% circulating a couple days ago. That's a 1.8% gone in, I think, a weekish.
It's absolutely mind-boggling.
And also, now we're in this very interesting scenario where total circulating is going down, but also liquid is getting squeezed. So liquid was 67 trillion 3 days ago. So now liquid is getting squeezed with it.
It's insane. It's really only a matter of time.
Now, when you say BOT protocols right there, and that's in the circulating, that's what you're meaning is like locked up but not burnt. It's kind of like the stuff that is stored in certain, buy and burns that hasn't been burnt yet or whatever, right?
It's a bunch of stuff. So you have TitanX in liquidity pools, you have TitanX in smart contracts, TitanX in stake and payouts, TitanX in buy and burns. So it's a combination of everything. But that has been hovering around 32 trillion for like 3-4 weeks. So it seems to be very, very steady. So the two main things I focus on is one, total circulating, and then liquid is like a secondary. But the total circulating is the most important. So total circulating also includes stakes, which is obviously not circulating, but I like including it in there. So circulating does liquid plus stake plus BOT protocols, and then total burn is burn by build on TitanX and buy and burn. So total circulating is the leading indicator. Liquid is the second leading indicator. I think total circulating is the most important. Because now with Shogun, you have this interesting dynamic where, so the way Shogun works is when somebody burns their stake for Shogun, let's say it's 100 billion TitanX. Somebody burns their stake for Shogun, there's an 8% dev reward that goes directly to the Shogun buy and burn. So it's not like the developer gets it, it goes directly to the Shogun buy and burn, which means like 100 billion gets burned, but 8 billion goes into the Shogun buy and burn. So that increases the liquid supply on paper, but it's actually just burning. It's just bringing a little bit of that stake back from the 8% dev reward that goes directly into the Shogun buy and burn. So that's why liquid looked like it was increasing. Well, it was actually just burning. It's an effect of burning, essentially. So that's why people are a little bit confused. And I'm like, just focus on total circulating. That's the most important number. As long as that goes down, we're good. And it's down only.
It's literally just a matter of time.
The chart in crypto where down and to the right is a good thing.
Right?
Yeah, that is the stat you want. That's down to the right, 100%. And it's going there fast. Like so fast.
Oh
and every single one of these protocols that come out, that's coming out, whether it's Matrix, whether it's just released, like Phoenix, Stacks, what Awesome X is doing, TORUS, Shogun, man, it is like we keep talking about the rubber band. We keep talking about this like this point of no return here. And there is an inevitable point where this pinch point happens. And when it happens, it's going to shock you. You're not going to be ready for it. So I want to ask real quick, because I want to make sure we get it to, because I want to talk about Matrix, I want to talk about Stacks, I want to talk about Awesome X and what Dave, what you got going, as well as Shogun as well. Do you guys have, or Callum, does anyone have any other thoughts, anything else that you want to add to Phoenix, anything you're bullish on, anything you want the viewers to know about it before we go to Matrix?
Yeah, sure. There's obviously a decreasing ratio of when to get in. So it is 28-day fair launch, but at the moment, so it was 1-to-1 for 24 hours, and now it's 1 to 0.95 for 3 days. And then every 4 days after, it decreases by 0.025 as well. So if you're interested in Phoenix, just read the white paper or jump in the Telegram, ask me any questions you have. I'm just so excited to see what it can do, because obviously everything's an experiment, crypto is an experiment, but with all the new projects coming to Inferno, I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Amazing. Yeah, and that's definitely something, you who are watching and you like Phoenix, you like Callum, you want to participate, you got to understand that sooner is better. If you get in now, you're going to get more for your TitanX than you will tomorrow. And so, not financial advice, but if you're going to play ball, sooner is always better. So I have a question, though. I think this is a great question. And Mike, because I want to go to Matrix next, I want to give you the opportunity, or anyone, but Mike, if you want to. Shane asked a question. So will we eventually get to the point where new projects will be using millions of TitanX instead of billions? I love this question.
Or should I go for that one?
Yeah. Would you like to take this one?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is exactly what's eventually going to happen. I mean, I think if you look back on Ethereum, back then when Ethereum launched, right, when all these projects we're building on top of Ethereum, as like in the beginnings, like you could go in with like 2,000 Ethereum and like ridiculous numbers of Ethereum. Like now it's like you go into some few projects like 1 or 2 Ethereum, and back then I don't know, it's like, oh, I'm going in with 3,000 Ethereum and something like that. And obviously that was at some point, things like that will happen at some points for sure.
100%. It's and we talked about this. I think it was a different stream. I posted it online as well. You know, when TitanX gets to around day 500 ish. If we go to look back at what happened in the initial phase, the first like 90 days, 70, 90 days or so in TitanX, there's about $100 million that came in ETH, 49,700 ish. And if we were to take that same amount of economic energy, that same level of adoption, and say it's going to happen again to TitanX, well, the main question that comes up is, well, are we going to get a major supply increase? And this answer is nuts, but it's real. At day 500, if $100 million were to come in, and assuming that was a 280-day mine, which means this is the most amount of supply that could possibly come out for any amount of dollars coming in and creating supply, you only see a supply increase of, like, from where we are now in total circulating supply of less than 20%, meaning there'd be around 20 trillion TitanX that would be able to come. That's including T rank and what you could mine. Think about that for a second. And this is only after 500 days. When we go into the future, and let's say we go into our second cycle, $100 million might only be able to actually bring out 2 trillion. And so at the rate we're decreasing supply, yeah, 100%. Billions can turn into millions real quick. And yes, it might take months, maybe some years to get there. But the fact that supply cannot be created and can only be destroyed, or can be destroyed faster than can be created, is like the most bullish scenario you could have for a token, in my opinion.
I agree. It's literally going to be... I can't wait. I'm just so happy to be here, to be honest. This ecosystem is ready. It's primed. It's literally primed. All these points, all this data. I mean, in my opinion, we're going to good places this bull run. Especially the way outside of TitanX, everything's panning out as well. It's literally like the stars are aligned and everything's kind of falling into place.
100%. It's just a little bit of patience, focus on the data, and stay focused. And I think you'll be just absolutely fine if you're watching the stream. And on that note, Mike, Matrix, what's happening with that, man? How are you feeling? I know I'm sure you're swamped and excited as all hell, but yeah, take us through what you're going through right now. Take us through Matrix, and yeah, let's get into it, man.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I heard the word patience, and so I'll definitely just chime in there that there is something called the patient incentive pool in Matrix. But let's get into it. Exactly, that's like the landing page for now, but it's going to change. That was just there as a placeholder. But nevertheless, probably just a quick recap. What is Matrix? What are we trying to do, or what am I trying to do? So it's a capped supply deflationary token. It's going to be a 20-day auction whereby 80% of the supply is going to be on the first 8 days, by the way. We're going to have a buy and burn. It's going to be fed by the incoming TitanX 1. And then the other part is also going to be from the hyper payouts, because the incoming TitanX is going to be by pressure to hyper. So we need to buy up hyper, and that's going to be staked, essentially. And then in the payouts, some of that payouts will be going to the buy and burn, so that's why the buy and burn will be sustainable in some ways, because it's going to be getting those payouts in the buy and burn. And yeah, probably that's like essentially like a little a summary of what Matrix is. We can be going probably a little bit on the patient incentive pool, because that's somewhat like a little bit what people mostly like are asking about. But essentially that's like the little recap what Matrix is.
Beautiful. Well, I'll try and summarize it real quick, see if I got the gist of
ahead.
it. So basically, it's like Dragon X, except there's some exceptions here. So in terms of the user experience, playing early is better because the majority of supply is able to be created or able to be basically minted, right? In the first, you say 8 days?
Yes.
Right. So first 8 days, if you want to play ball with Matrix, you probably want to get in sooner than later, right? Because it's going to be a deflationary token after the mint phase. And it is getting its buy and burn. It's basically leverage for its system out of the hyper payouts, which allow it to basically continuously every 98 and 369 days replenish itself, because the hyper buy and burn brings hyper into its payout system. It doesn't need more miners to be started in order to get that, which creates a different kind of sustainability for Matrix. But then you've got the patient's incentive pool, which is the interesting part that I think a lot of people are going to want to hear from you about, because I think this is one of the coolest things about Matrix is this incentive pool, because we've never seen it before. It's a brand new innovation in creating a gamifying waiting. It's almost like staking in a way, but it's like pre-staking, and then you're holding it before you get the token. It's cool. It's really, really cool. So I want to hear more about the patient's incentive pool.
Absolutely. So the whole idea was actually the following, right? One thing which I wanted to achieve was that how do I incentivize long-term people, right? Because if somebody participates in something, right, and there are a cohort of people who just believe in the project, and how do I incentivize those people? That was the initial idea. And then I just went to the drawing board, and I was like, okay, how can I achieve this, by the way, right? And so the way I achieved this was through this patient incentive pool. And how does this work? Essentially, the patient incentive pool will be continuously funded by 5% of the tokens acquired through the buy and burn mechanism. So whenever the buy and burn gets triggered, not 100% of the matrix being bought will be burned. 5% of that goes to the patient incentive pool. And how do you participate in the patient incentive pool? It's essentially whenever you participate in the auction, you are automatically in this patient incentive pool. So like you don't actually need to do anything. So that's the beauty of it, which is as long as you participate in the auction, you are directly in the patient incentive pool. And when do you get your tokens? This is something now you have to know, and that is depending on how many tokens you have, like relative to all other people. That's like your share essentially, right? Like how many tokens you have. And the global share essentially is the unclaimed tokens of all the people, and how many tokens you have, like throughout the auctions, how much you got, like the relative to other people who have not unclaimed as well. That's like your percentage of the share, or like of the tokens which are unclaimed. And whenever, and you can get out at any time essentially. So when you participate in the auction, after at the end of the auction, which is normally 24 hours later, like I mean at the end of the auction, when you participate in the auction, after the auction, at any time you can claim your tokens. But if you wish to wait, then you can basically earn more tokens. And so there's a few things here which you have to know. I think I guess, is that a bit clear already, like what how this works? Essentially, there's a bit of like percentage allocation, especially in the beginning. It's like very low, but then it just goes higher and higher. But especially in the beginning, it's just very low. The patient incentive pool allocation changes every day, so it's like linearly, and after the 28 days it's around 1%. But all in all, the summary is the following, which is the patient incentive pool gets funded through the buy and burn, and relative to other people, how much shares or how many tokens of unclaimed tokens you have. Whenever you claim out, you're gonna get your share, like your extra tokens essentially. So in the auction, if you, let's say at the end of auction, you get, let's say whatever, 10,000 tokens, just as an example. And if you just waited longer, and depending how much shares you have, you're going to get extra more tokens on top of whatever you had essentially. And they will be coming from the patient incentive pool.
So it's like basically like a giant financial game of chicken.
I think you said that the other day, but maybe you have to give me, like, explain to me how that works.
So
Is
it's
that
basically just
patient
like
incentive pool?
it's just like a last man standing kind of thing, right? It's like the
Yes.
longer you wait and the more people leave, the more the pool you get. So it's like it's kind of like who can get off the train last, you know?
Yes.
Who can it's game of chicken is just a funny way of saying that. But yeah, it's the way I like to think about it, which is awesome because it's gamifying waiting.
It's also
Gamify
kind of
waiting,
like
yes.
a automatic staking with the ability to unstake at any time. It's like, you know, you don't have to stake. You just don't claim, which effectively is staked. Now you're getting rewards, and then it's effectively staked until you want to basically burn the stake, and you're not locked in for 100 days to burn the stake. You could burn your stake at any moment.
Yep.
That's really fascinating, Mike. Wow. See, look at the innovation here. This is amazing because that hasn't happened yet. Like, you're waiting to claim, and actually you're incentivizing people to not claim. So see, some of these other protocols are penalizing people for not claiming. And what you're doing is you're incentivizing people for not claiming. Super fascinating. Awesome.
That's a great point. I hadn't thought about it like that before, but that's cool. You have like an inverse relationship to the claim button.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I just thought it was like this was like somewhat interesting, and especially the way the pool gets funded actually, which is from the buy and burn, right? Because initially what I wanted to do was actually just allocate some percentage of the supply to that pool, but then that's going to be like a static, like you know exactly how much is in there. But if you do it through the buy and burn, right? Well, obviously, it depends how much is in buy and burn, how much the buy and burn gets triggered, and so forth, right? And then also a lot of things, which is like how many people will claim their tokens, and the people who are left behind, they have a bigger share now. So there's definitely like a lot of moving parts in that, which can make it, and it's not easy to predict because you don't know how many people will want to exit, like claim their tokens or not. So it's I think it's quite interesting, and also this mechanic, even for other people who would want to use this mechanic, there's a lot of variation which you can build upon this, really, you know, right? Because it's like, as long as you have, if you have an auction, people still have to deposit in some ways, right? Or even minting the same way as Phoenix right now, right? When you mint your tokens, you get them 24 hours later essentially, right? And imagine, like, there's definitely a lot of ways how you can play this, like what I'm trying to say. But this other people who want to use this kind of system, they should definitely go ahead.
Thanks, Mike.
No worries.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you too. So, because I love Matrix. I love the way it's designed. I love the patience incentive pool. What do you think is, like, if someone's watching this and they're on the fence of whether they should play ball with Matrix or not, what's the most bullish thing about Matrix over the long haul?
Over the long haul, I mean, there's definitely a few things, but I mean, the way it is designed, essentially, first of all, is like also that it can be built upon as well, right? And the Matrix Vault per se, it can receive so the Matrix Vault is like very similar to the TitanX Vault, right? Whenever, if you send TitanX to the TitanX Vault, that TitanX gets staked forever, right? So, but the way I enhanced that a little bit for the Matrix Vault, and I wanted, if you can send in TitanX, Hyper, or ETH in there, and at the end of the day, it's like at the end, Hyper will be bought and be staked forever, essentially, right? So it's going to be taking supply of Hyper away forever, essentially. So that's going to be increasing indirectly value of Hyper, and we're leveraging on Hyper as well on top of that. So there's definitely few things which have been built or designed in such a way that projects can build upon it if they choose to do so. And obviously, I'm going to be working on few things as well. There's some few things I'm working on TitanX sub, which I want to incorporate in some ways. Obviously, I cannot say much, but once that has been released, then there's probably some more things which I'm working on, which could potentially be integrated there as well. So yeah, I'm definitely not stopping. That's one thing for sure, and we're just marching on. And yeah, we'll see where this will take us.
Well, I'm excited for you because you're a madman. You're a machine. Literally, look at your profile pic, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I would ask you guys here. So Callum, Dave, Utah, Jake, you guys have any thoughts or any questions about the Matrix?
I've
And
got
chat,
one.
you guys too.
Yeah, I've got one. So, I mean, more of an observation. So, obviously, it's capped after 28 days. And if you're holding a hyperdeflationary asset, and let's say you have 1%, and then the supply is being burnt, your percentage goes up. But what Mike has kind of done is your percentage is going to be even leveraged up even more if you're in that patient incentive pool, because you're being rewarded more Matrix tokens for just holding, for just being loyal to the protocol, not fading it or anything. And then if you do want to get out, if Matrix reaches a good position where you want to sell, you can, but then you leave that patient incentive pool and you can never enter it again. So it is a massive game of chicken. I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
And by not claiming, those tokens are actually not even on the market yet, which
Yes.
actually does help the price, stabilize and stay high. So it actually incentivizes people to keep supply off the market.
Yeah. I mean,
That's such a good point.
Yeah, I mean that was just like the idea, and then the other thing is, I mean, these are just ideas now, right? I mean, let's say, I don't know, there's few things. Let's say there's a project being built, and then you can reward only the people who are in the incentive pool, for instance. Like that would be an example. I mean, these are just ideas for also the builders out there, but this is essentially in the smart contract. It's very easy to read who are the people currently in the incentive pool and just incentivize more of those people as well. I mean, so there is definitely a lot of ways which can be game or played here, but definitely the information is out there. I'm just saying this as well, just for as a general idea, no financial advice, obviously.
That's cool though. I didn't think about that. That's a good point. That'd be cool to see
Yeah.
someone gamify that patient's incentive pool.
Exactly, because once you're in there, is essentially is like, you can if let's, I don't know, there's a lot of things you can build upon that, just that factor alone.
100%. Utah, what do you think? I haven't heard from you in a little while.
Well, I like the patience incentive pool. I like those kind of games. It's always nice just to have a little something sitting on the side, man, where you don't have to do anything with it. Matter of fact, it's better if you don't. Just leave it alone, let it sit, let it accumulate, and let the impatient pay the patient. When I'm engaging with protocols in TitanX, I have different strategies for different protocols. And it's not 100% this bull run. Some of the stuff I just want to sock away for the future. I mean, we are so early. I mean, the people that made the most money in Bitcoin and Ethereum are the people that forgot they had it, right? Because they couldn't sell, right? So I want to get some. I mean, I don't think people understand what we got going on here. All these projects, this ecosystem, deflation. I mean, yeah, you can have a short-term mindset and you could play just this bull, but I mean, the amount of builders that you see in this ecosystem should be a cue for everybody to be like, okay, there's this many people forking out money out of their own pocket to build this. Do you think we're playing for just one bull? Because we're not. Because I'm not going to spend this kind of money just to build a protocol for one hype event, one bull run, a couple months of fireworks. I'm not doing that, you know? So where's TitanX going to be in 10 years, 12 years, 15 years? And if you have a little slice of that pie, that you got early on that you paid, pennies for compared to what it could, be worth, in the future. Not financial advice, of course, all speculation. But yeah, so I really like the patient incentive pool. I like those kind of plays.
Well, I think you make such a good point of like, and I want to hit this home for the viewer too, is you can put a small amount into something like the patient incentive pool. And if you're patient enough, you end up owning most of the rewards that go into the pool, and your tiny little piece of the pie could become huge if you're willing to wait long enough and just be patient. So this is a really cool opportunity for people to just sit on their hands, do nothing, and be rewarded for it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Jake, what are your thoughts?
Specifically on the pool?
Yeah, Matrix, patient incentive pool.
I like it. I think it's a cool idea. So it's essentially the best way to summarize it. It's after the mint phase. So the way the mint phase works is 28 days. 8% of the supply, 80% of the supply comes out in the first 8 days, and then the remaining 20% gets auctioned off over the next 20 days.
It's auction.
So mostly,
it's auction all along the way. By the way.
Yep. So 8 days is 80% of the supply, and then the other 20 days is 20% of the supply. So it's going to
It's 18%. It's 18%. I changed it. 2% goes to the LP, but yeah.
Okay, perfect. So 18% after. So most of the action happens in the 8 days, and then you just chill. So this might have an interesting effect where the buy and burn doesn't have much to actually fight against, because people are just like, okay, I'm waiting. So that could create some very interesting dynamics. Like Mizuchi is doing something very, like people are innovating on all these things on like, how do you fairly distribute supply and give it to the believers? I like the patient incentive pool. I like the hybrid NFT lockups. I like all of it. Like this is all just innovation on innovation on innovation. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I've in all the protocols, I build my position. I just chill. I've always been like that. I'm like, I like this, so I'll still like it 2 months from now. And especially because the cool thing is, as long as you're in any TitanX protocol, mining is more active. But as long as you're like in a cap supply or hyperinflationary token in the TitanX ecosystem, whatever happens in the ecosystem, you don't necessarily need to go and chase. You get benefit by proxy because TitanX is deflationary because of all these things launching on it, and there's a lot burning in the background, like all the time. And it's not just Shogun. Like Shogun is a large percentage now, but stuff like Flux still burning. There's a bunch of stuff that's still burning TitanX in the background, where you get benefit off of everything launching just by being in the ecosystem, which happens nowhere. Because like on Ethereum, if you have an altcoin on Ethereum and then there's another altcoin that launches on Ethereum, you get zero benefit of that because an altcoin is not going to move a $370 billion asset. And then all you're going to get, especially if they're targeting your community, is they're going to sell down your altcoin to go into the other altcoin, and you get zero benefit of it. The cool thing about our ecosystem is you get all the benefit of it because it's within the ecosystem. It burns TitanX. Yeah, that was completely fucking off topic.
All
I like it. I like
welcome.
the incentive. Yep.
It's so true though. So there's so much to be excited about. There really is. Utah. One TORUS. Okay. Well, I want to make sure I get to each and every one of you guys first, and then we'll talk about TORUS. But I want to hear from Utah because Stacks is dope. Let's talk about it. I'm going to bring up the white paper here, and I want you to give us the deets on what this thing is and why people should get excited about it. Well, hold on. Did I share it? No, am I sharing? Hold on. What's going on here?
He's like silence is the most powerful word.
Okay. This should be shared now. Okay. Awesome. You there, Utah?
Yep, I'm here.
Let's go.
So, excuse me. So I won't just read this, but I will basically tell you that Stacks is another it's another easy button from the E280 ecosystem. Basically, there's going to be a token and there's going to be an NFT. Minting will be 28 days. TitanX or Ethereum to enter. And basically what Stacks is going to do is it wants to become a whale in every staking protocol on TitanX. Now, it doesn't want to become it doesn't want to take over any staking protocol on TitanX, but it wants to be a participant. So what it'll do is it'll take those rewards every 9 days. There's a cycle, payout cycle. And every 9 days, those 10% of those rewards will be paid to NFT holders. Now, during the mint phase, things are a little bit different. Can you bring up, let me see, the rewards page? Yeah. So this is very important. So, and I'll just read this part. The rewards pool gets filled with TitanX and X28 from staking payouts. All TitanX not getting compounded are converted to X28 and distributed as follows. Auto compound, TitanX and X28 used to market buy ecosystem tokens and stake. Buy and burn, X28 used to buy and burn stacks. NFT holders, X28 sent to NFT holders. So what happens is the rewards that get paid out in TitanX from all these staking pools, the portion going to the buy and burn and going to the NFT holders, we push all that through X28. So we're getting a 50% burn right there on everything we're pushing through. So the TitanX that we compound, we don't do that with just because gas costs, coding, it's not really practical to do it that way. But if you look at the phases here, during the mint phase, the days 1 through 28, 0% of the rewards that we get from the staking pools go into compounding. They all go to the buy and burn. And everything that goes to the buy and burn is TitanX swapped through X28, but it buys E280 first. And that E280 buys stacks and burns it. So after the mint phase, then 80% will go into auto compound, and the rest will go into the buy and burn and the rewards for the NFT holders. Now, what we've done is we've set this sliding scale right there. So what's important to understand is that every 9 days, the amount that we auto compound reduces by 2%. So we're starting with the 80% auto compound, but after the first 9-day pay cycle, well, now we're down to 76%. And that percentage is proportional to the buy and burn, right? So when we go down to 76%, that 4% is now going straight to the buy and burn, which is pushed through X28, and like I explained before. So then, the next time that we do it, we're 76, 74, 72. The whole time that we're declining and we're putting less into compounding, we're putting more into the buy and burn. Now, mind you, this is a cap supply token after 28 days. No more will ever be created. But yet these staking pools are going to run forever, right? So imagine when it, after, the 30 cycles, now we got 60% going to the buy and burn constantly, forever. It's set. And 20% is going to auto compound, and the rest is going to the NFT holders.
Can you talk about why the decision was made to start hot with the compounding and then transition to the buy and burn and not the other way around? Because I think that's an important thing that I can see where it's going, but I would love for you to tell the viewers why that, because I think it's a really important point to understand.
Yeah, so actually during mint phase, it isn't, right? During mint phase, it's buy and burn heavy up front, no compounding rewards.
Isn't it 80% auto compound and then 0% stacks buy and burn, and then it kind of slowly drips into the buy and burn? Or did I miss
Not
here?
during the mint phase. So
this is after the mint phase. Okay.
Yeah, after the mint phase. So I can explain that. But after the mint phase, it's all going to the buy and burn. And so are the rewards so are the amplifier bonuses. So when you mint an NFT, if any amplifier that you use, and there's several different ones on here, all that amplifier TitanX that is used, that goes straight to the buy and burn too. So we want to create some fireworks during the 28 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we figure we can accomplish that with a massive buy and burn. So now when we go to the 80% compounding, when you're dealing with staking and grabbing shares, you want your firepower up front, and then you want it to start declining, was the way we decide to go with it. Because we want to build positions, because if we build positions, we get rewards and it kickstarts the whole flywheel. One thing that people need to understand also is, everybody's viewing staking pools and all this other stuff. Like, I think that the perception is we view it as it is now, but we don't view it as it's going to be in the future. What happens when this system kickstarts? Everything in TitanX just starts going, man. All these pools are going to grow with it. So I think it's important for people to understand that, I think these pools are going to get massive for all these protocols. And, I think the benevolence of this protocol is the fact that we only market buy. Okay. So you're getting buy pressure, consistent buy pressure from a whale that never sells. These tokens will never hit the market. Once we purchase those tokens, that's it. They're locked up. They'll never see the market, and it's straight market buy pressure. And I know that buy pressure is massive. Buy pressure is what drives price. It's the market buys.
100%. Let me wrap my head around. So let's go through the rewards one more time. So I was tracking the compounding and the buy and burn, but the rewards, can you go over again where they come from and where you said that every 9 days they're paid out to the NFT holders?
Correct. So the rewards come from the staking payouts.
Right.
And the NFT holders get 10% of that.
Right.
Every 9 days.
Am I correct in saying 90% is effectively going back into compound or to the system, essentially, whether it's buy and burn or compounding?
Well, you have Genesis and buy and burn in NFT holders.
Right. So 80 some odd percent is being reutilized through compounding and buy and burning within the system, which is all buy pressure or compounding, which is beneficial either way.
Yep.
Right. And can you take us through these different NFT tiers? You got legendary, rare, common, but I see there's a little change here. There's LFG, super, amped, and the basic one.
Yeah. So dude had an idea to add a couple different ones, and he's like, "This is what I want to do. What do you think about that?" I was like, "Send it," So now you have amped, super, and LFG. So when you use these bonus multipliers, you don't get that token backing. Okay. These are just your amplifier bonuses for your payouts for being an NFT holder. So if you burn your NFT, you only get the token backing that was used to create it initially, none of the amplifier bonuses. So it's important that people understand that. So if you're not looking to hold long term, it's probably won't benefit you to go high on these bonus multipliers, because these are these are the long-term play.
Gotcha. So the longer you're planning on holding, the more likely it is that you want to do the larger NFT size. But if you're thinking short-term plays, it's probably not going to be worth your while.
Correct. Now, who knows? It could be. We don't know how it's going to go off during minting phase. I know E280 got extremely wild, and there was a lot of people burning NFTs during mint, to compound. So we just have to see how it plays out. An important thing to know too is that your position as an NFT holder with exposure to all these staking pools can never get diluted. Your position can only increase because there's only a 28-day mint. And as people burn, you get a bigger slice of that rewards pie forever. So it's another last man standing game, and you can mint different ones. You can mint some of the commons, you can mint some rares, so if you want to burn some in the future, say you want to burn a few this cycle, we'll mint you a few commons, and if you want to hold on to some longer, get you some rare, if you really want to go for it, if you're a whale, mint you a couple legendaries. So there's different ways to play this. But just know that once you burn it, that's it. No more rewards. You will never get any more rewards. So it might not benefit you to put all your eggs in one basket, if that makes sense.
Can I ask you a question on that front? Because I'm going obviously like end game kind of thing here in the way that I'm thinking with this. But so what happens if all NFTs are burnt? How does the system operate then in terms of like how does then things switch around?
I'm not 100% sure on that, honestly. But I do know that towards the end, that there's a diamond hand pool. And when we get down to, I'd have to read the white paper, but it goes by multipliers. So whatever the multiplier bonus is that's remaining, that pool gets paid out to those remaining holders.
So it's probably pretty unlikely that they all get burnt, but I don't know, it's just an interesting thought.
Yeah, I never really even thought about it. I'm sure Dude has. He's kind of the brains of this operation, honestly, when it comes to this. Man, shout out to Dude. He's very intelligent. He knows this stuff very, very well.
I'm hoping he shows up. It'd be great to have him on. So if you're listening to this dude, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, get on up here. But yeah, this is exciting, man. I think Stacks is going to be really cool. I'd love to hear from you guys too. Any thoughts, any questions, insights?
Yeah, I've got one question. So obviously before Utah, it was built on top of Element 280. Was the plan before X28 came out, and obviously you were going to burn a crazy amount of TitanX, was it going to be designed that the rewards were going to kind of flow through the project up to Element 280 and then into Stacks, similar to what's happening with the hyper payouts?
No, it's always been this way. We just dropped X28 in there so that we could push our TitanX through X28. Basically, it was like, you know what? This is really simple to drop this in, push TitanX through it, and burn 50% of everything we push through it. So that's basically what it was. And we are paired with E280. So, we're still benefiting E280. And the fact that we go through our buy and burn buys E280 first, and then it burns, that's big for E280. E280's best friend is volume. So that's what gets everything kickstarted with E280. So
I think that's a really interesting angle as well, because on top of the Element 280, if you're bullish on Element 280, then Stacks is going to do whatever Element 280 does by default. And it is also hyper-deflationary on top of Element 280, which is also hyper-deflationary. So yeah, it's a really good addition to the Element 280 ecosystem like you have at the very beginning.
Yeah, and that's why, he was like, do you want to build a new website? How do you want to do this? I was like, no, I don't want to do any of that. I want to use your website, and we'll just put a tab on there on the UI because it was inspired by, E280, and it fits right in with what he's doing. So why change anything? It's just make it right there and keep things simple and, benefit E280 and let's go.
Love it.
I like it.
Jake, were you going to hop in and say something?
Nah, I'm just vibing. I like it. I think Stacks is a cool idea. Matrix is a cool idea. Phoenix is a cool idea. It's all cool ideas. I like it. So far, there's nothing that I heard where I was like, I'm not sure if I like that. It's all good.
And we are launching on the 22nd. Just so everybody knows.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Not even that long. A week away.
Damn.
Wait, on the 22nd?
Yes.
God damn. Okay. So many launches. Matt, we have Phoenix yesterday. We have Matrix 17th.
Yep.
And Stacks 22nd. And when TORUS.
Yep.
And God Eggs on 28th.
Right.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
We have the second wave coming.
I mean, this is, I think, a lot of builders tend to lean more towards the crypto veteran side. So everybody realizes getting it out during a low is the best time by far. So I think that's why you see a lot of the launches around now.
Mm-hmm.
And there would be more, but we have to make sure that we're not pushing our devs so hard. They got to actually really develop good stuff. And, a few changes to, we're going to have a big February, guys. There's a lot of protocols building right now that it's probably going to be February when they start coming out. So it's like January and February is going to be a really big months as well. And, actually, that's the thing. I don't think it's really going to slow down. Like, when you start to build, you're 6 to 8 weeks out, typically from launching to do it right, depending on your protocol, and sometimes longer. And so it's like, well, if you're starting to build right now, you're probably actually going to be more in that February, March release time, especially with the holidays. So it's like, I think we're going to have a big first quarter. I don't even know how big, because it's probably going to be bigger than we think, because there's probably a lot of people that are just really chomping at the bit to build. And when there's a few green candles, that might actually bring in more builders as well. But, we'll see.
100%. That's one of the big flywheels in the ecosystem. It's the fact that as TitanX does well, the ecosystem does good. That makes the builders more funded. It's like an endless flywheel. And then, like, this is also how Callum decided to build Phoenix, as he did very well on a TitanX protocol. He's like, okay, how can I give back? How can I build something? How can I take it to the next level? And that's when he was like, okay, let me build something. So you'll see this a lot, where people just do well in the ecosystem, and then they're like, okay, how do I take it to the next level? Because there's also financial incentives to build a protocol. There's a lot of incentive to build a protocol. One is, from a business sense, it's awesome. Two is, it's wealth protection. If you like a certain protocol, or you like TitanX and you have a massive position in TitanX, you want to see it do well. So by building something innovative on it, you protect your own wealth by making the ecosystem more interesting. It's like, if you like, what would be an example? If you like Solana and you have a huge bag of Solana, you're like, I'll build on Solana because I want to, protect my bag, innovate on it, get people over here. It's like there's a lot of incentives for people to start building. And I think because of the playbook we have, where it's fair, it's decentralized, users and the functions, there's no legal attack angles. It just feels so nice. And you have this whole builder network, you have this whole community that's supportive. If you have anything you're trying to figure out, just send a message to somebody, he's going to connect you to somebody, and boom, all of a sudden you have like this mentor team around you if you've never built before. It's an epic flywheel. Because Callum mentioned
your mastermind. It's the natural extension of your mastermind, because now we are all the mastermind, all coming together, helping each other now. But it's the natural extension, I think.
I think masterminds are massively underrated. Like I became relatively, I don't even like saying the word, but relatively successful at a young age, and that's because I joined a fuck ton of masterminds. I was just like, something I don't know, here's my money, teach me. I've always had that mindset. Because like there's a couple, so like this mastermind is a decentralized mastermind. Everybody's already financially incentivized to teach you because they want to see the ecosystem do well. So the way normal mastermind works is you pay somebody money, you give you access to the mastermind, you learn the thing. They need a financial incentive to put all the time and effort in. But in this ecosystem, you have that by default. It's like a decentralized mastermind. Because if something does well, the whole ecosystem benefits. So everybody's financially incentivized by default, which is the power of decentralized networks. That's cool.
It's an expensive tuition, but at the same time, it is the cost it takes to get to have conversations and to be able to learn at that level. But also too, it's not something that like anyone can do it. If you got the idea, you got the resources, you got the integrity, you've got the public image, anyone can do it. But it's one of those things where, you got to really want to do it, and you got to really see that's worth your while, but it's also worth your while to get in. So it's like, it's kind of perfect, because you can't just hop in and say, okay, guys, teach me, and then go somewhere else. It's like, you're putting up, or you're not coming in. But we're open and welcome arms for anyone that's coming. And the conversations are always just fantastic. So it's been really freaking cool to see how many different types, even the fact that we're on this stream all together, and I'm hoping more show up, but we'll have conversations. I mean, there's so many chats that are always going off on, guys, can I run something by you? Guys, hop on my stream. Guys, let's talk about this. It's freaking awesome. Where else do you see that?
It's like it's like what you say, Jake, meritocracy. It's like the purest form you could possibly have, because you need to do the work yourself. You need to get there. And if you do, you can be part of this amazing community. But if you're lazy and you don't want to, then you're just cast to the side. So yeah, it's good.
You know the craziest part? This is a meritocracy because the biggest protocol on TitanX is DragonX. It's not even my thing. So now I have a chip on my shoulder and I want to be number 2 or number 1. Actually. Yeah, so it's a pure meritocracy. Eric came in and was like, hey, here's DragonX, have fun competing. I'm like, oh yeah, bet. So let's do it. Yeah,
Which is awesome.
nice.
It's
Like,
fun. It's cool
Mhm.
that we can have a healthy, competitive meritocracy that, you know, it all feeds back into the same thing. Like if Jake gets competitive against someone else in the ecosystem, that just puts a fire under his ass to build something better and better that burns even more TitanX, makes people more gains, pumps the ecosystem. It's just like you can't win any harder in a more competitive environment too, because it's all feeding the same loop no matter what you do, which is super cool and unique to this ecosystem.
And you know who benefits the most from all of this? Holders. We're out here competing. Who can burn the most? Who can build the best? Who can do this? Who can do that? And as we're leveling up and spending our money and competing, making the ecosystem more powerful, the holders benefit. You know, it's pretty amazing.
This is a perfect example. It's like a fight gym. Like you have these like champion gyms that just churn out champions, and they get in there, and it's a healthy competition against each other to make everybody better. It's the exact same, just on a decentralized blockchain, up in cyberspace. It's so cool.
I love that. That's so true.
And
That's
look
pretty
how
unique.
quickly innovations happen, and then those innovations immediately get tested and used again in different ways. It's like we're churning innovation on top of innovation now. Now it's like everybody's on perpetual cap supply auctions. It's like, whoa, okay, hold on, that just existed like 8 weeks ago, and now all these other protocols, or maybe 4 months ago. But it's very fun to see the innovation on top of innovation here, because, anyways, it's only going to get more. I'm just really, the fact that we can even build cap supply perpetual auctions now is like epic. And now we can utilize that. And now Mike even put a way to have effective, people want to technically stake their stuff by, not claiming it in perpetual auctions. So there's so many cool elements that are building on top of each other that couldn't have existed without the other one before it. Very cool.
I got a question here from Shane for you, Utah, just to cap off the whole stacks conversation here. So this is Utah. If you would buy 5 super rare NFTs at 1.2 billion each, that would be 6 billion TitanX, but would give you a 70x multiplier. If you buy 4 rare NFTs of LFG, you will get 80x, I'm assuming, multiplier at the same cost. Is this correct? Actually, I'm not sure if this is a question or if this is a statement. So I'm making it a question, but.
And I don't think there will all of them will get sold, because dude actually I guess he's doing some treasury stuff where, like, I think the treasury is going to be buying a handful of the stacks NFTs. So I mean, if everybody sells, like, those ones are going to get all the rewards.
Then it's going completely benevolent.
Right.
That's a good
Is that
point.
with Helios? The Helios treasury?
Yeah, Helio. Well, I guess he's doing a DAO vote right now to see if the DAO wants to, buy some of those in the treasury as an investment.
This guy has a good question.
That guy does have a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Whoever that is, great question.
TORUS is coming right at. Dude, I want to go to Dave, because Dave, we haven't had a chance to go through what you've built, how it's gone, what you're also building. I want to hear from you. Yeah, man, what's going on in your world? How's AwesomeX looking? And you got Draco coming as well, right? You said you got some adjustments that you're tweaking with that.
Well, made them. We made them, and we're moving forward with them. It just delayed the release a little bit, which is totally okay. Really want to make sure that we're delivering something amazing. That's great on a lot of levels. As we watch these streams, we're like, oh, that's a good idea. Like, I just changed the white paper. Sorry. But at some point you gotta just say, there's what it is, and this is what it's going to be. But there's some really cool innovations that we're doing with Draco. So AwesomeX really was intended as an input token. There's a really great ratio up front. You got to believe in it to want to mint it. But right now it's over 2 to 1. One TitanX still gets you over 2 AwesomeX on Fridays. Now that's going to go way below 1 to 1 over time. It just drops 2.8%, but it drops every week. So it's a little slower of a protocol to kind of see really what it's, and it's paired with Dragon X. So actually our Dragon X ratio is going up. If you look at the Awesome X Dragon X pair, you know, it's a very cool chart to look at, which, you know, versus the USD one. But anyways, but I wanted to give everybody more things to do with the Awesome X, and I really want Awesome X to be an input token. Now there's some innovations I wanted to try to build. I tried to build them on different protocols. There was, you know, I ran into some design challenges with you know, pathways and selling things down accidentally, not wanting to sell things down during these pathways, not wanting to, like you can't. Like if you find yourself selling something down, you have to redesign. Anyways, that's how I feel. So I want these loops to be beneficial to everybody, and I want Awesome X to be a universe. So what we did was we created the hybrids, the Awesome X hybrids. Awesome X hybrids right now are literally like a savings account for your Awesome X. And there's, you know, 8 different characters, 3 different tiers. And right now you can mint and you can hold. It's really just another puzzle piece to the Awesome X universe. And what it does is it chronicles the first 8 characters of the Awesome X universe, the NFTs do. And each character is intended to be a protocol. So currently there is Awesome X, right? The first one, but the first one's Draco. So there's some NFTs for Draco, and then Drogon, and then Alpha. So those are the first 3 protocols that are going to be launched on top of Awesome X, besides Awesome V, which is coming at some point, you know, whenever the pillars are launched, which will be exciting too. And Awesome V is on one of the NFTs as well. He's Rockstar Dragons. That's kind of fun. But I make movies and stuff, so I like the stories behind this stuff. So I think what I'm doing is creating Team Awesome, where I think we can do some really fun stuff, like, you know, graphic novels and things like that. Maybe even video games in the future. But anyways, so Draco is a mining and staking protocol, and what it really does is it gives Awesome X a really new infrastructure layer, because it actually allows Awesome X to really be an input token, because Awesome X comes in staking payouts in Awesome X. And so that really allows a lot of other things to be built around the Awesome X universe. But the cool thing is we made it really aggressive. And we also are pairing with, we're creating an X28 pair. So we have a choice of input token, which is really cool now. ETH comes in, it'll buy TitanX, and it'll transform it to X28, and it'll land there because there'll be an AWX X28 pair. And so that will actually allow us to stay in X28 and swap for Awesome X in order to mint. And it'll go through X28. Now, if TitanX comes in, same pathway, goes to X28, and then it swaps for Awesome X and mints. If, you know, Awesome X comes in, it just directly mints. If Dragon X comes in, it doesn't do the X28 path. It just goes straight Dragon X, Awesome X, mint. So we're just allowing people to get in with whatever input token they'd like, but it all denominates in Awesome X. So there's some fun elements. So we have 2 main LPs with Draco. But like I said, it's a mining and a staking protocol. Max miners are 88 days. I love the 88 days. I think it's just a perfect mining, max mining length. And then let's see here. We have
one question.
Yeah.
Does it buy X28 or mint it?
Do you want me to share the screen? I have a white paper here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, cool. And sorry, Jake, go ahead. Sorry about that. What was that?
So with the TitanX, so the Ethereum comes in, buys TitanX. Does it then mint X28 or buy it?
It transforms it.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so I like that. That's good.
You
I
like
should have
that?
done that shit with Shogun. Yeah, I like that a lot.
That's
one thing I would
has
have
its
changed.
own pathway. Like I didn't want to just do everything buys Awesome X and just mints, because that's like each input has a better pathway to take. So we just changed the pathways. But I like going through X28. I mean, obviously, you already built something that's going to burn the crap out of TitanX. So, right, even before it even gets into the protocol, that's what I like how a lot of us are integrating it that way. And
good.
now we're going to have an AWX X28 pair that we can utilize for multiple things, which I'm really excited about, actually. So it's just the daily update, really aggressive. I'll just show you the fun art. I love these guys live in Palm Springs. They're golden dragons that, when they're fed, they produce gold. They breathe gold. So it's kind of fun. But anyways, main locked LP is AWX Draco and then AWX X28. And we have a couple different LP thickener pools that will help both of those fill up. We have the choice of input tokens here, 88-day miners, and then let's look at, there's the distribution. We can go that later. Let's go to the daily update. This is really aggressive, but we have every day the max mining capacity goes down 2.8%, and the cost goes up 0.28%. So it's actually a 25-day halving. Every 25 days there's a halving. So it's extremely aggressive, but it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. And then staking has 3 payouts. Max length stakes 888 days, 888. And then there's 3 payouts, 8, 28, and 88 days. This talks about staking. And there's no penalties. Your stake will just, if you don't claim it, it'll just stay staked until you want to unstake it. But there are early claim penalties, which are optional, and you get to do that. If you want to unstake, there is a penalty, but that's an optional penalty that you can choose to make. But there's no other penalties other than that one. LP, this describes the LP and talks about the thickener pools that we have. We have the buy, burn, and grow, which has a small thickener in there towards the AWX Draco, and then straight up 3% of everything is used to thicken the AWX X28 pair. And buy, burn, and grow, basically 92% go to the buy and burn, 8% go to the AWX Draco liquidity thickener here. And then we have a vortex. Jake, obviously you designed the vortex, and it was just such a good idea. We needed to do it because the 88-day miners, this allows us to kind of counteract massive, supply coming out onto the market. And that's really it. Yeah.
Cool. So is the intention to do get the supply out with the aggressive mining, and then to basically allow the funding to come in to fund the staking side, and the staking side will then take over as the predominant side of the protocol?
Okay, so this is actually one of the reasons that Draco exists, and that is phase 2, Drogon. Drogon is actually one of the main reasons Draco exists and why it needed to exist. More protocols to come, but Drogon is the thing I've been wanting to create this whole time. It's basically like Dragon X, but it's a mining and a staking loop. So it's an infinite mining and staking loop instead of only a staking loop. Now, I needed something that was designed in a certain way in order for me to do it. I could do it on Helios, but anyways, let's see. Let's just go to this one here. So this is Drogon, and Drogon is super cool. So it's a mining and staking protocol. It's not staking, just mining. So for 28 days, you can do an 88-day max miner for 28 days. And then no more mining is allowed. So that's it. It's cap supply at that point, but the miners can still be claimed for 88 days after that cap supply. Now, then it turns into a perpetual auction on day 29. But what it does, actually, let me just pull up the actual the chart. Where is it? Vault. Here we go. So basically it comes in here, and here's the allocations. Here's the Drogon Vault, and the Drogon Vault does three things. It fills up the perpetual auction, and then it also fills up the max mine pool and the max stake pool. So what happens is 17% per day max mine. So it creates a max mining ladder in Draco. So it's mining and staking. So yes, it is diluting the staking pool, but it's also inputting into the ecosystem, which actually pays the stakers more. Now, this is designed to even be mining during negative ROIs. Now, I made it intentionally like that because I wanted to make sure that it's always feeding the stakers, even when no person would be mining, because it all kind of stays in the system here. So anyways, max mining here, 36% goes to max mine Draco. So after 88 days, these are going to get claimed daily after 88 days. This immediately max stakes Draco. And here's when it pays out in AwesomeX. So when it pays out in AwesomeX, this is how the payouts happen. 71% goes back to the max mining pool and max mines more Draco. 18% actually goes and fills up the perpetual auction because it's in AWX. And then 8% fills up this. This is taking place of what the staking is going to be. This is actually what I'm calling multi-collateral growing hybrids. Now, these will be capped after 125 days, only because I want people that max mine on day 28 to be able to claim their max miners and get into these if they want to. But after 125 days, these are going to be capped. And basically, it's going to be you're going to be able to use your Drogon to mint these hybrid NFTs. And so it'll store the Drogon in the first place, but it will fill up with additional Draco and AwesomeX over time. And then you can burn them and, take all your tokens and sell them or whatever, whenever you want. But it's basically a similar mechanic. It's just, I'm just calling it a multi-collateral growing hybrid.
So let me ask you a quick question. In terms of the more in a more concise, the user experience, how's the user going to relate to it when they participate in Drogon? Can you outline just like, okay, what are the decisions that they have to make? What's where are they going to go for? How's the value going to come back to them? And then considering the NFT, how does it also apply to the original decision to mine and all that? Just to really consolidate it in a simple way.
Drogon's kind of a lot more mechanics going on here, but
totally.
But basically, the idea would be get an NFT, get some NFTs, because they're going to be filling up. They're going to be filling up through all these mechanics. This mechanic is the income mechanism. This is how the protocol actually makes money, is the infinite mining and staking loop. And the protocol utilizes that money to reward people in the ecosystem through these NFTs and hopefully through appreciation, because this will be a capped supply after 28 days. And people that max mine on, but see, it gets pretty expensive. This one actually gets really expensive. I'm going so extreme on these. I just so much fun. But if we go to the 28-day update here, day one, it costs 288 million AwesomeX to mine this much Drogon. Day 28, it costs $1 billion to mine under $1 million. It's a 35x increase in mining costs over 28 days. So it's pretty aggressive on how much you can mine at the end. But anyways, it's basically to jumpstart this loop. The loop gets jump started by things coming in. So this jump starts the loop. Once the loop starts happening, there's a source of income. So how do people participate? It's really you can hold the tokens, but by holding the tokens, you don't just have to hold them. you can actually mint a hybrid NFT that keeps growing over time. So you can either hold the tokens or mint a hybrid NFT, and just by getting the tokens, you're fueling this engine. And then the engine keeps going after the mining stops, and it's capped because there's an auction. There's a perpetual auction. So the game keeps getting played, but that auction keeps filling up the rewards too for the NFT holders. So look at these rewards. There's 3 arrows coming in. So this rewards pool is filling up through daily auctions. It's also filling up through the automatic engine from claimed Draco from mining it, and then also from the Awesome X from the staking payouts. So this is getting filled with a lot of tokens.
I see a break in the loop here.
Okay.
So yeah, this is gonna break relatively quickly because Draco is gonna get so expensive to mine that staking payouts are not gonna get fed again, and then the whole loop stops.
Okay. It is an experiment. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing here.
Because Draco's too aggressive.
Yeah, because you're gonna have good staking payouts for the first 3 staking payouts, and then after that, it gets too expensive to mine. The staking payouts don't fill up anymore.
So the idea would be to make Draco a little bit more sustainable, longer term, less aggressive on the drops.
Yeah, there's also other ways to do it. You can do, because if you want to do an infinity style loop, it's better to have perpetual auctions, because those always close at market price. So there's a reason for people to do it, even if it's just arbitrage, to make like a quick 30-50% or whatever. But mining, you don't really have that, because at some point people just stop mining, which heavily depends on the ROI, and then you just have the supply out, but then the staking stuff doesn't get fed anymore.
But that's the idea, that this would feed staking by mining.
Nah, it breaks. Because let's say, for example, with Draco, if it's 4x more expensive to mine and the price is up 2x, for example, then all the economic energy going in would be automatically halved by the time it comes out. So you can start with 10 grand and at the end of the mining have 5 grand. You get where I'm coming from?
I'm gonna have to process what you're saying, but yeah, I'll process that. I think
there's better mechanics to get it to go infinity style.
Now, when you say better mechanics, are you talking about Draco or Drogon or both?
I'm a big fan of perpetual auctions. I think those are sick.
Yeah, me too.
So because mining was primarily to get the supply out for TitanX. It's a great supply. It's not meant to be infinity. That's why I always said from the start of TitanX was hyperinflationary to get the supply out and then go hyperdeflationary. It wasn't a keep mining forever on TitanX. So it's a completely different end goal. With auctions, you can, like, for example, Flux is an infinity loop. Volt is more hyperdeflationary auctions with the perpetual style. So if you want to do something like that, something like Flux is probably better. That style of auctions. Where there's a certain amount of supply comes out every day.
Instead of mining staking, it's auction staking.
Yep. Exactly. And then the supply just reduces every day. Because Flux is kind of designed to be that as like an arbitrage monster. So that might be good good inspiration for Draco. And then Drogon still works if the staking payouts are fed, which you can do through a protocol similar to Flux, but then built for specifically the Dragon X Kingdom. That could work.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe it's really it's kind of a Draco mechanic. Then it's changing a little bit of the. I mean, I still really I like auctions, and I think we definitely need to incorporate them. I really also love mining, personally, but I think
Yeah.
that the mechanics are really in the numbers. It's all in the calculations, the way the protocol actually deflates, and sometimes I think I'm really attracted to really aggressive deflation, but because it's kind of speeds up the initial part of a protocol, and like early speeding up kind of feels like it gives something a momentum. Awesome X is a real slow decline, and so in one sense it kind of feels a little bit slow for certain kinds of game theory, but it's actually slow gives it a foundation too, which is kind of cool. It actually kind of allows it to be a more of a foundational piece, more of that input token. You'd rather not have that input token be really super deflationary. You kind of want the other stuff on top. Like, it's still deflationary, but like, anyways, I don't know. I'm just processing this stuff, but yeah, I think Draco, I can adjust the mechanics a little bit. Think that through, because of the other things that it could be more of a foundation for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think one thing in terms of like designing the supply, one thing you could think of is like, you have an inflation model in terms of how your supply comes, and the deflation comes from the back end of how that supply is created, which then comes in later, right? So you kind of have two separate mechanisms that then feed into the end result. So if you can think about how you can create an inflation model, whether it's a combination of auctions, mining, or minting, or whatever, right? That can then bring in enough economic energy to later create that deflation, because deflation only happens from supply that is created, not from supply that isn't created. That's just disinflation, right? That's just a slowing down. So I like what you got. I think you got some cool mechanics that you're trying out. And I think there's a balance there that you can get that will actually be really unique. Like, I like the idea you had a short mining phase. I thought that was really interesting. And I was thinking about that when you're showing Draco. And as soon as you brought up Drogon and you did that, I was like, oh, there's something here. And so I think if you can balance what you've got with what Jake's saying, I think you'll have something pretty sweet, man.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing idea, because you're basically building a TitanX variant, DragonX on top, but DragonX is going to be entering both sides, the mining side and the staking side. So theoretically, yeah, if you get everything right, it could be perfect. I was thinking, what would happen if you put a cap on the amount that you could mine? So let's say you want a max miner of 280 days, but you can only enter it. So that's only max miners, so you can only enter on the first day. But then it's like, if only one person enters, they get all of that supply on day 280. So it's like auction.
That's really an auction. I mean, what you're saying, that's basically,
but like delayed, so you have all that time in between.
Auction. Like,
but you have,
right.
Yeah.
Like, how many people enter that, and then you kind of get it. But that's interesting. There's something there. Yeah.
Yeah. The main thing with the setup is just you want to have an infinity loop in the middle, and you don't get an infinity loop by making it stop.
Yeah, we did actually have a daily cap on mining. I talked to Eric, and also we're talking to Eric about potentially integrating with PowerX on Draco, which is cool, because then we can mint with ETH, and so he's like, most of the economic energy coming from PowerX will come through ETH, so it's like, and that'll go straight through TitanX, the next 28, which will be kind of fun. But anyways, so yeah, yeah, I pulled that cap though, because it's like the in one sense,
that's not the issue. The mining will stop once it becomes too expensive to mine.
The mining will stop once it becomes too expensive.
100%.
For sure. It does in every protocol. It does in Helios.
Exactly.
And everything.
Yeah, so it's basically a supply get out mechanic. So if you then build on the staking payouts, it doesn't last because they don't get fed if nobody mines.
Well, that's the idea, that the initial engine gets fed, and then the protocol uses that engine to keep the payouts going to both sides of them. That's the idea.
Yeah, it's not gonna work, because when the mining ROIs, for example, mine is 90%, then you go in with Drogon with 10 grand and get 1 grand out at the end of the mining. You know what I mean?
But Drogon you can only mine for 28 days, then it's cap supply.
I know. I mean for the stuff that happens inside of Drogon, because it gets fed off the staking payouts.
Yeah, the staking payouts remax mine.
Yeah, but it's not. It's a loop that gets weaker and weaker and weaker instead of stronger and stronger and stronger. Because if Drogon is the only protocol mining,
well, sure. If Drogon's the only protocol mining, we don't have any participation at that point. You know, I mean,
yeah, but that is going to happen because the mining gets so expensive.
But I think
there's only one thing that is willing to take a loss, and that's Drogon.
Say that again.
I mean, it's because now we're getting too complicated. The idea is just when money gets too expensive, the staking payouts don't get fed.
Right.
And if Drogon is the only thing mining, it's a weaker and weaker loop because it gets harder and harder to mine, which means ROI goes down, 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 down. So it only gets weaker and weaker instead of stronger and stronger.
Yeah, so this is actually a conversation Jake and I had when I first brought TORUS to him, where I had a super aggressive mining curve, and it clicked when we were talking about what happens here. And is as your mining curve goes up, essentially you have a fair value no matter what. You have token, let's say 1,000 or 1,000,000 TitanX, right? Gets you this many tokens. So therefore, whatever the price of that TitanX is the value of that equivalent. That's the fair market value, right? And as you're creating that curve up in mining, you're essentially raising that price floor. But if the price is still down here, right, you're essentially making people go negative as this goes up, and the price needs to be able to follow that in order for at least fair market value to even be zero across the board in an ROI perspective, and make people even want to get in at all on it. So the trick is to find some kind of model. And this is, I mean, Jake, you're well more versed than I am in this, but what you iterated to me, and I'm really understanding now, is there's a balance, right? You want to get that curve right so that the mechanics underlying can either bring up the floor, or the incentivization is there for people to bring up that floor. So that way it follows your fair market price. So people then will get in. And that's why the auctions work so well, is that there's that predetermined amount that people can get in on. And an auction or something with a pool, does seem to do the best. I mean, TORUS is the same way. There's like a pool, right? There's a certain amount coming out per day, and effectively it makes people get an ROI when there's less people in it. So, I think, if you can adjust your mining curve to be a little bit less aggressive, I mean, and this is something we can do off stream as well.
Now I would just change it. I would do it auctions. It's a way, way, way better model to get what you want. Yeah, because auctions close at market price no matter what. So even if the price is low, the auctions still close. There's still stuff coming in. Because there is an arbitrage. If nobody's paying attention, somebody can make a quick 2x. If nobody's paying attention. So auctions always fill up. Yeah, I would actually consider combining them. I don't think you need two protocols. Maybe, like, for example, a Shogun style. Yeah, I think the two protocols here are overkill.
Okay.
Well, you know what? One thing
I
I
would
want to say
definitely lean towards auction.
I just want to say I appreciate the fact that we can be live here and have a public discourse about this. And
it's cool. Thank you so much, guys, for talking about this too. I mean, I love talking it through. It's like I can't just have this rattle around in my own brain.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because otherwise you start building it, etc., and then you're like, oh fuck, wait, nah. And then you need to leave it back. That's even harder.
Dave, you are already building, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
Oh shit.
But,
okay.
I mean, the
devs are getting paid.
Oh yeah. But hey, it's like sometimes those changes that when it's just parameter changes, when you start doing infrastructure changes, I've actually done that a few times already. But it's like when I start doing parameter changes, it's really changing a few numbers. It's not really changing the code. So some of this stuff we can actually keep getting right while we're building. It's not going to stop, but I do need to get it right, of course. And I know that there's some kind of a sweet spot, and maybe these two protocols are overkill in one sense, but the two protocols also have very specific reasons for being. I really like the multi-collateral growing hybrids, which was going to be a separate protocol, by the way. And then I decided, nope, that's going to be the staking mechanism in Drogon, instead of making three, anyways. I think that Drogon has a very specific purpose, is to test the infinite mining and staking loop, and then also create reward system through the multi-collateral growing hybrids. The Draco has a different infrastructure kind of piece, because ultimately this is kind of like, these ideas are not going to stop now, and there's going to be more launched, and now I have characters to launch them under that have already kind of been established, and people are going to wonder, hey, what is Ninja going to be? You know, hey, what is Sumo going to be? What's Flora going to be? And it's like, well, I don't even know yet, guys, on some of these. But anyways, I appreciate that. I actually take everything you say and I really process it. I'm going to rewatch all this stuff, and absolutely. But infinite auctions, yeah. And that's actually why we're doing it with, like, it's mining / infinite auction with Drogon. It's like the input side of things is actually, and being cap supply. And the way we're setting up the LPs is kind of fun too, because we're taking some direction off some other protocols that have done it really, really well now. And so it's like, I love the Volt style LP creation with the LP thickeners added. And then also even the Lotus style, the Eden style LP creation part. There's some fun stuff that when we can really merge these mechanics together, I think we're going to have a really great ROI for a decent period of time, for a long period of time, actually, most likely in Draco and in Drogon. And that's actually
Draco is going to cap very, very quickly.
I don't know. I mean, this is what I don't know. I'm maybe you're right. And
I know.
I know. I gotta get the mechanics right, but but the idea
I think you're better off just combining them. Just combine them into one.
When you say that, what do you mean? How would that happen?
You just take all, because all these mechanics can just be one protocol. There's ways to fit it into one protocol. So, for example, with Draco, you could have auction to get the supply out. And what was the point of the multi-collateral NFTs?
It's a different way to distribute staking rewards, you know,
like E280 style kind of thing.
And it's a deflationary way to do it, because after 125 days, no more ever can be minted, so they can only be destroyed and claimed.
Okay, yeah. So that's just a mechanic for staking payouts,
basically.
Deflationary,
like rewarding
you
long-term holders.
You can do that. Just make Draco a perpetual auction, and then put the NFTs in there, and then maybe you could have liquidity pools with everything like Shogun, and then feed the NFTs through the transfer taxes and the buy sell, and then you have something that can last forever, because trading volume always runs through pairs. There's always a reason to fix a price somewhere. If you have a bunch of liquidity pools, so you can have the NFTs on Draco, make Draco a minting phase, and then perpetual auctions after that get fed the same way as Shogun does, and just build it on Awesome X. And then you have this combination of like element to 80 Shogun kind of, which is very interesting.
With staking rewards that are deflationary in increasing the size of the pie. That's actually interesting.
And it's going to be cheaper than building two protocols. That's for sure.
Tell me about it.
Exactly.
I got to rewatch that anyways. I got to rewatch this.
Yeah. Two protocols is overkill.
No,
you can easily put that into one.
There's going to be 8. Sorry, it's already been planned in the stars.
If they all have a unique value proposition, yes. Because don't paint yourself into a corner of like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because like I only build stuff if I see a need, not because I want to hit a number. Yeah. So one great protocol is better than 8 mediocre protocols.
That's for sure. Yeah, I agree.
Yep. So just figure out a way to combine them into one, and then it can hit hard instead of miss the mark all the time.
Well, they are kind of. It's kind. They're kind of integrated. I mean, they're built together. They're being, they're kind of like designed together. So in one sense, it is. But actually, there is a different purpose for Draco, though, being just more of a foundation piece, because there can be more coming that could access and utilize Draco. But actually, if the mechanics were a little bit slower, they could.
Well, even when it's slower, it'll stop. The only way to perpetuate something is through auctions. Mining always caps. Always caps, because it's impossible to follow a mining curve when it comes to price.
Yeah.
So mining is a great way to get supply out. That's mainly the purpose of mining. If you want to make it perpetual, auctions are by far the best way to do it. Look at Flux. Flux is very, very, very sustainable. That's the best model if you want to make something infinity loop.
Theoretically, it could work there. That would be an amazing loop. Imagine if it was just constantly feeding itself. That would be. I want to see that happen. Dave, build it.
Yeah, I wonder what mechanics you'd have to put in there to actually, instead of, I'll be super curious. Like, what would it take to actually create that? Pose the question. What's the solution? Like, I bet you there's something. Maybe it's not what you think. Maybe it's not what you expect, but there might be something out there. Maybe it's not infinite, but it's as close to infinite, as you could engineer.
Basically, replacing the mining with an auction is what you're saying.
Yep. Yeah, and if you want to cap it, because it is going to cap anyway with mining, then you do the Shogun style. And you basically just combine Shogun and Element 280. Simplest way to think about it. All the mechanics, and except for with Shogun, a lot of it goes to burning, and instead of burning, it could go to NFT holders. I think that could hit.
Dave, would you put input as AwesomeX?
It's one of the inputs.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the main pair, but you could use AwesomeX and then it'll go straight in. But it's the idea is also everything else is going to be buying AwesomeX off the market. So if they don't use AwesomeX, it's going to pump the AwesomeX ROI on Friday, which would be really good for people to want to mint AwesomeX, which is actually, guys, ultimate point of all of this is to get people minting AwesomeX again, because it goes to the DragonX vault, burns DragonX, 70% buy and burn. There's a lot of benefits to really restarting the minting, being perpetual. It is every week. That's why I want to create these daily games that people can play. And you're right, the perpetual auctions are the way to keep people playing every day. Because yeah, exactly. Because if you hit it those days, if you're playing it a little bit every day, and then you hit it those days where people aren't paying attention, then you get a better, ROI that day.
Mm-hmm.
Auctions almost always close. You even see it on Flux. Not many people talk about Flux, but it's crushing it in the background.
It's quietly killing it.
Close. Yep.
And Phoenix is.
I think that might be what you're looking for.
Sounds like there's a happy medium here of a few different mechanics that'll make Draco really start cooking.
Yep.
So when TORUS?
100%.
Thanks, guys.
That's the next question.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the back because to easily explain it, I think it's better off combining into one and making it auctions, because it still has all the same mechanics. The buy and burn is the same. The inputs are the same. It's just different distribution model. And just combining it all into one. Because if you have the code of all of them already, it's just combining into one, making it simpler. Replacing it with auctions. All the buy and burn and input stuff is the same. And the pair's the same. Like, most of it is the same, so it's not that big of a change. Might actually be easier because it's simplified. Yeah, we'll talk a bit.
Cool.
Appreciate you guys' discourse, though. It's cool to see this publicly. Where this is kind of.
I forgot we were even on stream.
Yeah,
I felt like we were on the Zoom call.
No, it's that's the cool thing about stuff like this is like, we just hang out together, and this is what it takes to build too. It's like, we got to make sure that we're all keeping each other at the highest level, and we will bring every single one of us there, but this is cool. I think this is just a testament to the community.
I really this is how you get the best ideas, just publicly spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Maybe this.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
I really like this. I mean, it really feels a bit like as if we're in the Zoom call or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's like, oh shit, I'm live. Okay.
Yeah, these are great. I really appreciate it. It's cool to really think through all the mechanics. It's there is so much to consider for all you who are watching at home who haven't ever thought about building something, or you've tried to understand some just simple game theory for your favorite protocol. Like, there is so much that goes into building that you would never ever anticipate that and there's levels to it, right? You come up with the design, the flow, then you have to think about how these different parameters integrate with themselves, how they integrate with the underlying infrastructure, how the user engagement is going to be. Like, there are so many things to consider. So, I mean, if any of you are thinking anything other than, you're stoked to see what Draco becomes, I mean, Draco's going to become something awesome. It is. And it's only a matter of just massaging these small little aspects to come together, and it's hard. So coming up with something, if you're thinking like, oh, what, like, mad
Right.
respect to anyone putting their ideas out there in public domain to ever get feedback on, like Dave, everyone here putting protocols out, like, mad respect, whether it is, ready to go out of the gate or it needs 1 or 2 tweaks. I mean,
same thing with TORUS. I still remember our call. We had to tweak a lot to get it to be like the monster it is now.
That's why I know exactly what it's like. And I mean,
Yep.
when I first started TORUS, it was 2 protocols that were like literally each going to cost me like $200,000 to like build.
It was way too fucking complicated. Oh my god,
dude,
I remember.
It was like a call option and a put option based on the TitanX ETH that was coming in, and it was so overly complex. And I was trying to force it to happen and finally give on one side, and then I finally gave up, threw it in a chat. And as soon as I completely gave up on it, then the idea hit that completed it, which is now the staking side of it. And then we had more conversations about it, and it's like, man, it takes literally a whole community to shape a protocol sometimes, or a group, maybe not a community, but like, I mean, the mastermind, I'm sure for you, Jake, serves such an incredible purpose for shaping TitanX to be what it is, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And like we were saying earlier, this is our mastermind for the building process, right? This is an invaluable, I guess, place to come and share ideas, and public's a hard place to do it too. Cause I mean, then it's in the
same thing with
limelight.
Shogun. Like before Shogun was even launched, it was like I went through 4 different iterations. Like 4 different people talking, was like, oh no, shit, this is Shogun. No, this is Shogun. Actually, this is going to be Shogun, and now it's actually Shogun. So like,
That's so
everything
true.
changes all the time. Yep.
Yeah, like you were mentioning Shogun from like day one, basically, or not, maybe not day one, but early on, very, very early on. It was like we knew about Hyper right away, so it's TitanX. We knew about Hyper, and we knew about this thing called Shogun for staking that was coming to. And I think the Hyper Shogun combo was like 2 peas in a pod right out of the gate as well. So like you said, yeah, that's been bouncing back and forth and around and under and all sorts of just coming, trying to figure it out. It sounds like.
Oh yeah, then you just get this monster. Like Shogun is fucking incredible. I love Shogun. We're almost there. 10 more days of the fair supply distribution. Then
yeah, it's crazy how fast
it's already deflationary.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy how fast time is going here. But if I may, I'm going to self-indulge here for a moment. I see a comment. If you guys are okay, when TORUS?
Yes. When
TORUS is coming Q1. Now it's about to go into the build phase. It is going to go out as early as possible. However, I also am not going to put out something that isn't perfect. So if it takes an extra month, I don't care. It is going to come out when it comes out to make sure that it is exactly as intended to be able to mature, to be able to give the results for the ecosystem and for you who are watching, who want to participate, the actual results that you want when you participate in a protocol. I don't care about anything else other than making sure you guys win. And if it's not going to make you win, I ain't going out. So, I mean, yeah, that's all I got to say on the when TORUS part. But I mean, we could go into any aspect of TORUS if you guys want to talk about it. If you guys questions, because I mean, there's so much we haven't talked about when it comes to TORUS that I haven't seen anyone, ask the questions for. So I can lead if need to be, but I'd be really curious with you guys, like where your head's at, what you're trying to figure out right now. And same with the chat if you're watching as well.
I understand it.
Lead it out, and then let us grill you on it and see what we got.
All right. So I've been really actually, no, I'm gonna stop my cam because my battery's about to die here, and I'm gonna have to change my battery on the fly. But
one thing I think is important to note is TORUS is not your average mining protocol. It is way, way, way different. It's not, your cost base is not set from the start. It's essentially, you can compare it directly to Bitcoin mining pools, where everybody's competing for a share of the pool. So it's almost like a long-term auction that never ends. Same way Bitcoin mining never ends. It's just more people enter the hash pools, and then the Bitcoin splits among them. As they do that, they strengthen the network. TORUS is very simple. Just implement it on the Ethereum chain on TitanX. That would be a better mental model to get your head around TORUS. It's not the same as Hyper. It's not the same as Hydra. It's way, way, way different. Like, so you have to look at TORUS from a very fresh lens.
100%.
Mining might not even be the best word. Maybe creation.
Well, that's the verbiage I have. I've been allowing people to still use mining, but it's create, stake, and earn. Those are the three things, because it's not mining. You're creating tokens up front, and then you are additionally, like you said, you're earning them on the back end. So this creates this wildly dynamic system. Like, when I say wildly dynamic, that's not an overestimation. That's not a hyperbolic statement. Like, this is the premise of the protocol: is if there's less people in, there's more profit to be made, right? But if there's more people in, right, it's more decentralized. The system can handle the amount of ROI that's coming out. But what will happen is, because the ROI is strictly based off of people that are either creating or staking and having or earning within that pool, you get in this crazy environment where the moment, if anyone decides, I'm not going to create again, I'm not going to compound, or I'm not going to stake again, the ROI for that pool increases because one person's not going back in. And so you get, let's say on day 88, if you get a ton of people that are finished creating, right? And then all those people end their claim, or they just basically get removed on that day, the ROI on day 88 is going to rocket back up to as if they're not in the pool anymore, which is going to force people to look at TORUS and want to participate again. And this is something that people haven't really understood yet, is that over time, if people abandon ship, that just means the people that are staying in it are going to win harder. And so you can't turn a blind eye to it, because the moment you do, someone else is winning and where you should be.
Yep.
Oh, Callum, I think you're muted.
So from what you just said, I was muted, my bad. So from what you just said there, so let's say there is a bear market, and if you're still in TORUS, you're just growing your share of supply. You're growing your share of supply constantly. And obviously it's backed by X28. So it's kind of like, if you do believe in TitanX X28, there's that as well. But the tokenomics alone are really, really good. But then that's what's going to, it's like the game theory of how long you want to play, because the longer you're in, the more you'll earn.
100%. Well, and the one thing that I want people to really understand is, like with TORUS, go back to this whole idea of fair value. You know, like if 1 billion TitanX equals this many tokens, you have fair value USD for this amount of tokens, right? This is the break-even price there. And TORUS is basically built around this. Both mechanics play either side. So typically what happens if in a mining protocol, the price of that token is above fair market value, there's an ROI to be had, right? You can make 10%, 100%, 200% based on how far above fair market value it is, because that's where you're arbitraging that essentially, right? And so what happens though is when you are typically on the low side of fair market value, you're waiting, right? And so with TORUS, what it allows you to do is, instead of waiting, you can continue to stake your tokens back in the same pool that you would create and get into when you're on the low side, to earn tokens to put yourself into a position of making ROI. And in that time, what you're doing for the system is you're relieving sell pressure. You're allowing the buy and burn to do its thing. You're allowing market participants to buy, to add to their positions if they've created and they want to kind of balance things out, which all moves the price up. And so by the time people have staked and the price has gone back around or above fair value, now they're in profit. And so if you're playing this long term, you essentially, all you have to do is just keep this game going where, okay, I just stake, or I create, or I stake, or I create every 88 days, make one decision, and your bag will continue to grow. And in a bear market, it's a perfect play to keep growing your bag no matter what. And by the time the price really comes back up, because price is determined by of course, the system, but also TitanX. If TitanX and X28, this whole ecosystem starts ripping, the profitability goes through the roof. And so if you've been making and staking tokens, which you'll have access to every 88 days, you don't have to wait 15 years, right? You have the ability to compound your way into insane future potential by just continuing to play the game, even when the price is below fair market value, because there's always tokens to be earned, which is super unique.
Which goes down over time. That's important. It's very similar to Bitcoin in that, so let's say one block mines 50 Bitcoin, and then it goes down to 25, then it goes down to 12 and a half, and then it goes down to etc. So that amount only goes down. It's very, very similar to Bitcoin in that mechanic.
Yep. Oh, 100%. And what's cool is when you are, like Jake said, because everything is decreasing, it also works as a difficulty measure in a different way. Because you have to understand with TORUS that to get into the TORUS pool, when you create or you stake, you get shares from either action. The same amount of tokens from either side, creating 1,000 or staking 1,000 tokens, gets you the same amount of shares. But what happens is, because the amount of tokens you're getting for creating with 100 power, creating 1,000 tokens, right, costs more TitanX over time, even though creating with 100 power is static. What this does is this creates where, yes, 1,000 TORUS will always be worth 7,744,000 shares, but obtaining those shares will always cost more and more and more and more and more. So with the staking side and the creating side, it protects people from, or it protects the user from someone coming in with like $1 million, scooping up everything and just owning the whole pool, which is unique to it, and make sure that the user's always protected. And anytime someone wants to come in with $1 million, they've got to pay significantly to help the system and everyone else in the system in order to do so.
I think Bitcoin mining is a perfect example. So, because in the beginning of Bitcoin, it was a few people competing for a 50 Bitcoin block. And then now there's a ton of people competing for a 5 Bitcoin block, for example. I don't know what the exact number is now. It's maybe 2.5.
Something like that, yeah.
So, yeah, this is similar. Like in the beginning, you might have a few people competing for a lot, and then off into the future, because it's way faster than Bitcoin, you have a lot of people competing for a little. Because the pools are always there. So whether it's a lot of people in the pool or little people in the pool, it gets distributed. I get it. I'm thinking of how to explain it simply, because you just have a percentage of a share pool of a tokens coming out every day. You can get access to it either through mining or staking.
Aggressive buy and burn, right? Very aggressive.
Very aggressive buy and burn. Yes.
Key.
Yeah, and that's the key part. Because if people are competing for 1,000 tokens, for example, and let's use an extreme example where the ROI is 0, the cost basis is 0. So let's say 100 grand comes in. What percentage of that is buy and burn?
84% is buy and burn.
Okay, so you have 100 grand coming in to get 100 grand worth of tokens. In an extreme example where it's 0 ROI, meaning everybody's break even. Now you have everybody that has a cost. Let's say 100,000 comes in, 100,000 tokens is $1 per token. But now you have $84,000 of extra pressure that people are not in profit on. So you instantly get this extra premium on market just through the buy and burn, because everybody's cost basis moves up if a lot of people are competing for the same pool, which creates this extra where everybody wins, and then it just becomes scarcer over time. A visual could be really good, because I get it. It's very simple. If you understand Bitcoin mining, it's very easy to get. But I'm not sure everybody understands Bitcoin mining. Because I think for a lot of people in crypto, it's like, oh, Bitcoin exists and that's it. Bitcoin is not a token. It gets created every day. Bitcoin still inflates. It still inflates. And people don't get that. They're like, 21 million. Yeah, 21 million doesn't even exist yet. There's still Bitcoin being created every day through mining pools.
So
That's
I have
actually so interesting. Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead.
So it essentially is more difficult to get tokens as time goes on. You get less for the same amount. Is that correct?
Yep.
But then also you have to factor in the price increase of TitanX, right? So if TitanX price starts pumping, now it costs you more because you have to buy TitanX at a higher price, plus you're getting less tokens. So if you get in early and you get a good chunk of tokens, you can swap those back and forth between the two pools. Is that basically what you're saying?
The
staking. So I'm a little confused. Okay, so you have the staking.
Yep.
Right. but you have to mine your own tokens to be able to stake them. Is that what it is?
No, so this is the one. You're Jake. To go back to your thing, to your point, real quick. There is so much new with this that it's like the language has to change. It's really, I definitely want to refine everything because there's a lot of new things going on here. And staking specifically is like staking and creating are two doors into the same pool essentially. If you can buy tokens or you can create them. Doesn't matter how you get the tokens though. Once you have tokens from however you get them, you can then stake them. And then if you decide to stake at a time when there's people creating, well, you're competing with people that are creating as well. It could also only be stakers at the time, but it will likely be a balance between the two of creators and stakers that are both earning from that pool.
Is there like
I
staking
understand.
where do you have to stake it for a certain period of time, or is it like just kind of liquid in a way where you can unstake whenever you want? Or
it's exact. So basically they're mirror images of one another. So 88 days for either creating or staking. And on the creating side, you can't end early, but the staking side, you can end at the 50% mark, which opens up a whole world of potential there. But that's the only real benefit that staking has over creating. And then of course there's either side of fair market value that just leaves the decision.
So probably another thing is like when you create, you automatically staked essentially. Is that right?
When you create, basically creating is like creating. I guess you could think of, if it helps to think about it like that, you get your tokens and they're automatically locked up when you create.
But you're participating in the same pool. So
yeah, exactly.
But so essentially it's like when you create, you automatically staked essentially.
Yeah, they're both kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. You can think about, go back to the Bitcoin thing for a moment. It's like, instead of being exit liquidity for the miners, you can become the miners in Bitcoin. And then when miners are no longer profitable, you could earn where miners can't in Bitcoin. It's kind of like that. You basically are always able to, you can always use the system to capture some of the supply. And it's definitely going to take some work.
It's kind of like a combination between proof of work and proof of stake.
Yeah.
So like, for example, you imagine with Bitcoin, now you just buy Bitcoin and you chill. But what if you could buy the Bitcoin and then be part of the block creation and get Bitcoin emissions? You could just buy Bitcoin off market and go into the mining pool with your Bitcoin. It is that essentially. It's like, that's the simplest way to think about it. But the thing, like explaining it in the Bitcoin way, Bitcoin is a $1.8 trillion asset and people can't even explain that it's still inflating.
Yeah.
Which is so fucking mind-boggling. Most people just think, Bitcoin exists. Yeah, it was dead. No, it's still inflating.
That's the problem. Is like most people don't know how Bitcoin gets created. That's the first point. Yeah. So I think it's a good idea for people who understand how Bitcoin works, but then again, not good because a lot of people don't.
It's going to be something that I think, and it is a good point. It's like there's going to be a demographic that gets it, and there's going to be a demographic that doesn't. But here's why I'm not necessarily concerned about everyone getting it, because the people that need to get it are the people that have money in the end. Because if this matures, right, what happens is you get in a situation where the system is super, super stable. Because if there's a ton of money competing over it, then the price can just do this over time. And it's very easy to figure out, do I want to stake or do I want to create? And you get still like the math that I've done based on, let's say $1.75 starting price for TORUS. Not financial advice, not saying that's the starting price. Let's just go with that. $1.75 starting price. With the creating side, it would take over $1 billion to dilute the pool to 6% in terms of everyone's ROI. And so over time, you have the capacity as the TORUS price rises to be able to take on extreme amounts of economic energy into the pool and sustain it and be able to give an ROI, which is the whole point of the end vision. Like at first, TORUS is going to be like super profitable and then staking. And they'll be like profitable, staking, profitable, staking, profitable, staking. And then finally, as TitanX starts to rise, it'll be profitable. People start to create again. And then over time, as TitanX matures, as TORUS matures, you're going to get more possible economic energy coming in, which is going to help the buy and burn, which is going to help sustain the price, going to build the liquidity because there's a buy and build aspect as well. And eventually it gets to a point where now, like TitanX, instead of having this gigantic seesaw back and forth, like all protocols do in the early days with volatility, it's going to be a smoother curve on either side of fair value, right? It's going to bounce back and forth, and it's not going to have these crazy swings. That's the end vision with TORUS. And if you look in the white paper, maybe the end is not with just TORUS. There happens to be a wrap TORUS pool over on Pulse Chain. So we'll see what happens there. Could be nothing.
So what drives market buy pressure? Is there an opportunity if people buy on market and then they just stake?
Yes.
And they still get a good benefit, yet they're not creating any more supply because that supply has already been created. Is that correct?
Exactly. So when the price goes below around 10% of that fair market value point for creating, then all of a sudden now to stake, you're buying off the market, paying the protocol fee to stake because there is one, and you're getting a deal on the creating on the cost of creating. So now you're saving money on the creating, you're helping the system, and you're getting into the pool. And the deeper the discount goes in the price, the easier it is to get in the staking pool. Because it just costs way less to get 1,000 tokens, let's say, or 10,000 tokens, and you're putting in economic energy still into the system through the fee. But you're still, even if you're paying more in fees, as the price goes down, you're still getting a huge discount on the creation cost, which still means your ROI is going to be much higher.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to realize that all of this gets very simple once you see the UI.
Yeah.
Like this is all like back-end stuff, but once you see the UI, you're like, all right, okay, it makes sense. Like for example, with Phoenix, there's a lot going on in the background, but on the UI, it's just, hey, here's a button, click it.
Yep.
So like once you see the UI, you'll see everything, like all the calculations and stuff, and it will be very simple to get.
It's literally two buttons.
I remember with that TitanX mining distribution to get it out. People were like, oh, this is very complex. And then we all made the joke of like, hey, just click the blue button. The blue button. That's all you need to know. One blue button. Click.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Oh, it's actually very simple. Yep.
Yeah, there's two golden yellow buttons in TORUS. That's it.
Cool.
So does the fee that you pay if you buy on market to start your stake, does that go to the buy and burn, or how does that get distributed?
Yeah, so 84%. So I should say there's actually two phases, and I'm going to update the white paper because I just got confirmation that this is actually going to work in the protocol. And Jake, thank you for our conversation the other day because this inspired this change. So the first 28 days in TORUS are going to be different from post 28 day 28. The first 28 days in TORUS, every 28% of the economic energy is going to go into the buy and build, which is dedicated to building the liquidity over the first 28 days. So if it gets $1 million, that means $280,000 is going to be able to go into the liquidity pool right away. If $10 million comes in, then we have $2.8 million that goes into that within the first 28 days. And so then you have 64% that goes to the buy and burn over that first 28 days, and then 8% goes to Genesis. After day 28, so there's only three aspects. There's buy and burn, buy and build, and Genesis. Once you get past day 28, 84% is the buy and burn number. And you also have an 8% buy and build for long-term sustainability and growth. So you establish the initial liquidity and then transition to slow building for adoption over time. So it scales relatively smoothly. And something that I want people to understand too is 8% buy and build is still buy pressure on TORUS. So half of that buy and build is buying TORUS and putting it in liquidity, which means the total buy pressure on TORUS is actually 88% from its own system.
Wow. I like that.
That's like the highest buy and burn on kind of a staking, mining or create kind of protocol. I can't wait to see what that does. And a lot of the supply is going to be locked away. So
it's going to be really interesting. I've been really doing some deep thought on how to really utilize the different aspects of the system. And I think people are going to be surprised by how well things will be able to go, especially with that first 28-day phase.
So for lack of a better word, or maybe it is the right word, for users, you're basically doing an arbitrage between these pools, whichever one is more profitable. You're staking or you're creating.
Right. The only thing I would say to change that a little bit is you're creating and staking. But what happens? So I guess one thing to talk about is the shares. So when you create and you stake, you create shares based on the tokens you're creating or staking multiplied by the length, essentially, right? And you get a number of shares. Those shares then are now separate from creating and staking. Now you have the main mechanism that is looking at what shares exist, doesn't care if they're staked or created or where they originated from, and you're earning from the TORUS pool based on your shares. Does that make more sense?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So it's a share.
Yeah. So you have a share system within
Everything's
TORUS.
based on the shares.
Yep.
Gotcha.
7,744,000 shares will always be what 100 or 1,000 power or 1,000 TORUS will be worth in the system.
Okay. Okay. I got it. That helps a lot. Thank you.
No problem.
I mean, that's why I mentioned earlier, probably, I think it made more sense for me is like, whether you create or you stake, at the end of the day, is like you are participating in the same pool. So when you create, you automatically staked, essentially. You participate in the same pool, effectively.
Yep. 100%. The only difference is by giving you tokens up front and then going into the pool on the creating side, then you're able to compound and essentially take advantage of higher prices, which builds your bag faster. It's kind of like if you think about if you can think about Bitcoin, right? The fair market value for mining is based on their profitability. It's the cost of equipment, cost of facility, cost of electricity, and then that's their baseline, what their break-even price is. Anything on top of that is profit, right? That same break-even in TORUS is how many TitanX it takes to create that amount of TORUS, right? When you do the math there, that's your fair value. That's your break-even point. So in Bitcoin, I'm sure mining farms don't necessarily do this, but there's some that I'm sure that will. When you are profitable as a Bitcoin miner, you have two options. One, you can toss it in your bank account, or you can just store the Bitcoin, or you can use that money to get you more hardware, to build you a bigger farm, to earn more Bitcoin and have a higher probability of earning an ROI, right? That's the premise of creating. Being able to do that, what you can do with mining hardware on the Bitcoin or in the Bitcoin system when you create. And then the opposite side, and the other side is opposing, where you can then take advantage of just holding coins when doing that doesn't make any sense, right? When that's not profitable. It's just the whole completion of that, the loop there, if you will, or both sides of that.
It's actually the exact same. Because like even it's the exact same as Bitcoin now that I think of it, except for like stake. Because the way it works in Bitcoin is during every bear market, you have a period where the miners go negative. And that's when it's called miner capitulation, where they're forced to sell to even get back to break even. That's called miner capitulation. That happens all the time in Bitcoin during bear markets. So I was going somewhere with that. Yeah, so what happens then is the market buys. Essentially, the market then trades up to the point where Bitcoin miners are profitable again, and then the hash rate of the system goes up. It's essentially kind of that. So you can think of when mining is profitable, people do mining hardware to mine the Bitcoin because it's profitable, and they make an ROI, whatever it is, 20%, 30% over a year. I don't even know how much it is. And then once it goes negative, people just buy the tokens instead of mining it. Now, in general, buying the tokens has always outperformed just Bitcoin mining. But TORUS is way different when it comes to that aspect. But yeah, when mining becomes unprofitable and mining servers start shutting down, they essentially switch to buying Bitcoin until it's profitable again to turn on the miners. Yeah, so you can kind of like mine, stake. It's very similar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And again, like we said before, this is like the more back end. This is the deeper side of things. But it's cool to go here. If you can really get the premise of TORUS, you really get the premise of Bitcoin. I mean, this all translates to understanding stuff like Phoenix, TitanX. I mean, you got with AwesomeX, Draco, with Blaze, Stack, all this stuff applies. Like when you start to understand the deeper mechanics here, it just helps your decision making. So yes, in a simple front, create or stake. And for the record, this is how easy it's going to be. You're going to go to the dApp. It's going to have the create page, and you're going to be able to toggle between create and stake. You're going to see a big number that says the ROI for create, and you can toggle over to stake. And if the number is bigger on staking, that's how you make your decision. If the number is bigger on creating, you create. It's really that simple. You don't need to go, and you don't even need to know about anything we're talking about right now. You just need to be able to understand what that number is versus that number.
Yeah, it's usually that way, isn't it? It's kind of hard to explain because all the heavy lifting and everything that happens in the background. But usually when you look at the UI, it's like, oh, that's simple. I remember people had a extremely difficult time grasping Blaze, and then the UI came out. Well, there it is. Pretty damn easy, you know?
Yep.
So yeah, I agree with that.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And soon, I don't know when I'm going to be able to put that out, but at some point here, I think we got to get a little bit further into the build phase.
So let me ask you another question. I think
Sure.
so essentially, when you create or you stake, you participate in, like, you're in this this pool essentially. So are the tokens be distributed in that pool, and that's how you get the tokens, or how does the pool gets their token, or
Yeah,
how does
so-
the pool gets fed?
So so in day 1, there's going to be no tokens distributed. It'll be day 2. On day 2, when that day ticks over, the system says, okay, when it comes over, it looks to see how many people, or the shares in that pool, who has those shares, and all the tokens that were to be emitted on that day. On day 2, it'll be 100,000. 100,000 tokens will be distributed to anyone that has shares when the day ticks over to day 2. And that's cumulative. So it's not based on when you end your stake or your creation. It's not based on, it's based on the day-to-day when you're in the pool, how many shares you had relative to everyone else on that day. So earlier on, you're likely to make the most, because the most amount of tokens, the least amount of people that know about it, right? As time goes on, more people are likely to enter the pool. There's more likely to be dilution.
It's
Okay,
like mining Bitcoin 50, getting a reward of 50 Bitcoin at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I see. So probably like on day 2, there is a certain number of tokens get emitted, and if you're part of the creation path, you also have a particular share essentially. So you're gonna get, but are those extra tokens you get on top of what you normally create?
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, but if you're a staker, then, like, can you, like, do you have to wait the whole way until you unstake to get the tokens, or do you get the tokens along the way?
You have to wait until your time has been served.
Okay, and then you can claim your initial tokens which you've staked plus whatever you got on the stake along the way.
Yeah.
Okay. So for both for creation and staking, it's essentially the same way. You treat it somewhat the same, right?
Yep.
Because
go ahead.
Yeah. So if you're like mining, whatever, let's say at the end of the mining, you get 1,000 tokens. Then along the way, you're going to be earning along the way. So you get on top of that. Or you end your mining, you get on top of that. And for staking
Hey,
this,
Mike, can I pause you for a sec?
It's not like a robot.
Okay, it is.
Bro, it's roboting.
Yeah, you're
Was
a
that
glitch in the
roboting?
matrix. There's a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah.
The AI is
My
breaking.
VPN just run.
Yeah, do you want to try to come back?
Drug
Do you
me or
want to try
something.
dip out and come back?
Is it still rugging?
Yeah, it's still rugging.
Oh, fuck, man.
Yeah, your servers need
And
to
of
be
course
plugged
we hear
in.
that. Oh.
All right, now we figured it out. Mike Dean is in there. That was proof right there.
It's not just the profile picture.
It's not. I mean, now we know he is AI for sure.
Oh yeah, it's like whenever they do something on the world stage, you need to telegraph it first. That robot image was just, hey, I'm an AI, but I sound human. Very useful AI there.
100%. Well, I want to wait till Mike gets back so he can ask his question. But I also am realizing we're almost like 3 hours into this stream, which is nuts. So like,
Yeah.
I feel like we're just
gone quick.
chilling on a Zoom call. Serious?
Yeah.
This whole
I
thing
know.
felt like that.
It's fun. And I mean, shout out to all of you who are watching still. I mean, we got over 1,200 people watching right now, which is fantastic. Even at this point, shout out to all you guys who are on stream with me here. This has been a lot of fun. And yeah, I'll wait for Mike to come back. But
I've got a question in the meantime.
Yeah.
Graphics. How are you feeling going towards? Obviously, you've had this idea. Is it more excitement, or how are you feeling at the moment, kind of leading into the TORUS build?
I mean, really, really, really good. You know, it's a really meaningful time actually for me, because over the last 2 years, I've been kind of going over this up and down this roller coaster ride of like, I don't know my why. I know my why, then I don't know my why. I don't know my why, then I do know my why. And it's just this, like, as you can see in my content, I mean, you go back to look at my videos, some of them like 6 months ago were like, am I giving up? Am I quitting? You know, and it's been hard to get behind a movement. You know, it's been hard to really feel like I have a why, because money only does so much for me. You know, attention only does so much for me. Building, you know, for views only does so much. But this is something different, where for the first time in a long time, you know, the last time I felt like this was when I was playing hockey back in the day, and I was going to go try out for like NCAA or college level as a goalie. And but now it's like I have something huge here where I know how much it has the capacity to, or how well it has the ability to make people win. You know, it serves a community. It serves a greater purpose. It's a long-term vision. It's an expression of myself that benefits myself on numerous different fronts, and it can lead to so much more. I mean, look where it's led already. This conversation is one small aspect of where this is all going. And you guys are having the same experience, I'm sure, where you're putting yourselves out there, having this why, where you're convicted and you're putting yourselves out there, is bringing you so many more opportunities, so many more conversations, so many different types of people. And I think for me, that's the most exciting part of it all right now, is having that why. And it's a lot to take in, because, you know, I kind of almost have imposter syndrome sometimes, where I'm like, I'm just a YouTube guy. I started on YouTube. I started this game like 3 years ago in 2021 is when I actually started looking into this. And now I have a protocol, and now like that I'm going to build out. It's like, what the hell? So it's weird. It is a little stressful in the sense of thinking about it being perfect, because, you know, as you guys have all done now, it's like you putting something on the blockchain. It's like, that's people's hard-earned money. I could not imagine living with myself if something didn't go perfect. If there's a hiccup, I'd be horrified, you know? And so it's a lot, but it's beautiful. And I can feel there's a lot of growth. I'm very growth oriented. I love, you know, trying to expand. And I feel like this is really pushing my envelope on a lot of fronts, which is just, it's great. Even where it's hard, where it's stressful, it's fantastic.
Yeah. I think in my experience, it doesn't really feel like work, because you just really want to do it. It's very different. It's a nice feeling, like you're comparing it to your hockey days. It's like you just want to get up and do it because you really believe in this idea, and it's just, oh, my lights turned off. And it's just exciting. Like, it is really exciting. I feel like TitanX is still at this kind of, I mean, we don't even have 20,000 users. Like, we are so early. We are so fucking early, and it's just so exciting. And it does give you that feeling of like, yeah, this is going somewhere really interesting. But it's like, what's that going to be?
It's super exciting to be a part of this. The fact that we're all together in this too is really cool. It's one thing to do it alone. It's another thing to do it with an incredible group of people that are all have the same goals, aspirations, and to win together is going to be freaking awesome. I really can't wait.
Before Mike comes back and asks this question, I just want to chime in on this, because this is my favorite part of being part of the community. Like, like-minded individuals. Like, I would have never met you guys, you know what I mean, or any of these people, you know, but yet, like, you guys are like my tribe, like my people, because out there in the real world, I can't talk to normies about this shit. I don't even want to, you know what I mean? I'm seeing them start to post on Facebook now. Oh, I'm getting into shit, and I don't even comment. I'm just like, you guys have no idea where I'm at, okay? I am so far down the rabbit hole, like I'm living a double life, right? You know, my best friend, 2 of my best friends, you know, they're in it with me, right? They got me into crypto, and now they're into TitanX, you know, and but like, they're the only ones I can really talk to, and the only ones I really talk to on a daily basis. You know, I'm a single guy. My kids are grown, and you know, I got my son into it a little bit into it. I'm sending stuff to his wallet, little bastard. But you don't even know. Send him some E280 NFTs. But anyway, you know, it feels so good to be part of something bigger than myself, you know, and just, I mean, I have a career that's an awesome career that I worked my ass off forever to get to the place I'm at. And you know what? It doesn't fulfill me. I don't even want to be doing it. Like, I like this. I'm excited about this. Like, this is so cutting edge and so different than anything else that most people are doing. Like, I love this, you know, hanging out with you guys and building and just everything. I love it all. The drama, the chaos, you know, the quiet times, you know,
That-
the red candles, the green candles. I mean, sometimes I ask myself, like, why do I do this? Why do I do this? You know, because sometimes it can get insane, but you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. I love the whole journey. I love the excitement, you know. Anyway, that's all I got. Sorry.
Oh, beautifully said.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
I mean, at some point, whether you do that with a little bit of money or a lot of money, the goal of life is to just be busy. Like I remember there's this whole like I think it was Hormozy that said it. He said that the first thing God gave Adam was work, a job, before he gave him a wife. The first thing God gave him was work. So like people have this idea of like, I'll become rich and retire. Yeah, I've been there, done that. Like it's very, very boring after 2 weeks. You're like, because you have 24 hours in a day. You go to the gym, you go to the sauna, you walk on the beach, and then you're like, oh fuck, I have 18 more hours. What the fuck am I gonna do with my life? And then you go to this existential crisis of like, what is the meaning of life? Why are we even living? Why are we here? All this work is useless. All this time I'm spending is useless. We're gonna die anyway. And then you come to the conclusion that you just need to find purpose in work, and being busy is the goal. Like the first thing God gave Adam was work. And I was like, damn, that's deep.
It's a great
good way
point.
of putting it.
There's one more layer to that though, because there is a difference between your work and a job. And like
Mhm.
your work
Mhm.
is actually has been assigned to you. Your job is what you can when you can do when you need. This is why when people don't understand the difference between that, they think their job is their work. Very few people can find their work in their job. Now, a lot of people, some people can, but for the most part, your work is found separate from your job. The job is the thing that you got to have. That's why when people try to find passion in a job that they have just for money, it's really hard to find that. And that is a job. You know, you have to have your work it doesn't always have to be separate. And sometimes you can make your work when you figure out what your work is, why you're here, what your purpose is. Now it's like now you can get obsessed with that direction, and it's actually passion, and it's a good, healthy obsession for the direction of your life. So if you can make your job, you know, come over, be part of your work, boom, that's great. You know, if you try to force your job into as your work, and if it's not really your work, it's like it's kind of hard. It's really hard to do that. And so we just got to understand there is something different. If you're not stoked on what you're doing, it's okay. You know, we need jobs and stuff here and there, but find your work. And when you find your work, you can't stop. It's like you can't stop it. It's like you won't ever retire from your work. It's not something you would ever want to retire from. You want to retire from your job, but not your work, man. Your work will happen all the way till you're gone.
TitanX up keeps me busy, all right. I tell you that.
Is that your work? Is that your work, Mike?
Dude, that keeps me busy, man. It's like because Jake might have like an idea. It's like, hey, Mike Dean, can this be done? The bubbles, man. I was like, shit. And
Gotta
then
put the AI to work. I'm like,
dude,
prompt
just
Mike
like-
Dean.
Mike
Like,
Dean
okay.
GPT.
not going to sleep now. I'm gonna work on this. And then okay, no sleep. We have the bubbles now.
The bubbles are so cool. I love them.
Yeah, dude.
So
Yeah,
useful.
the bubbles
I
are
love them.
That's nice work.
I
Yeah,
love
as
them.
if we're an ecosystem that's as new as we are, and we have the damn bubbles already. Like, come on. If that ain't a W, I don't know what is.
You know that I have them like the last 2 days just on my third screen, just there the whole day, you know. Just like looking at the bubbles, like, oh, look at that. It's getting bigger now.
The most that Mike doesn't sleep,
wait.
he just plugs in.
There we go.
That's good.
Oh my god.
That's great.
But Dave, I can 100% agree with that. You know, I think those are powerful words, and it's true. You know, when you find your work, not your job, you get a level of energy and motivation that, you know, transcends any challenge, any any reason for you not to do it doesn't even exist anymore, because you start focusing on problems and you start focusing on solutions. I think that's the biggest difference maker I've found. And I'm sure you guys, Jake, yeah, you're nodding, is like when you find your work, you find solutions, and that's it. You keep and you work until you find solutions, and you don't even think about the problems. It's crazy. It's so cool.
100%. Like, I like a lot of Moseyisms. So he also, the one thing that he also says is just your life becomes meaningful when you strive to be useful. Just be useful. When you're useful, you have solutions to people's problems. Once you have solutions to people's problems, they'll happily exchange money to get you to solve the problem that they can't solve themselves. And that's, you become financially free, they have a problem solved. And there's also this whole idea of, like, Elon Musk used to say, he had the saying, I would rather help a lot of people a little than a few people a lot. Crypto is kind of that, and that's what fair launch is. Instead of, you have a chart that goes up 100x, but in reality, it's only 2 or 3 people that actually made 100x, and everybody else is extra liquidity for those 2 or 3 people. Nobody really realizes that. That's one thing. And with a fair launch, you get everybody in at the same. Everybody has the same opportunity, and then you launch. So you help a lot of people a little, or a lot of people a lot, if they're patient. It's like the purest form of being useful. Fair launch is the purest form of being useful in crypto. If you have a great idea, it's the best way to be useful. Fair launch. Yeah, because if you help a few people a lot, you end up benefiting 3 people and hurting 997. That's not a good trade.
Yeah, and in an environment where it is player versus player, yeah, that's you don't want that. You want the widest winning ratio possible. That's when you're really impacting.
100%. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's what TitanX is all about.
Yeah, there's nowhere else to build. I mean, the ethos here is the reason for all of this. I mean, you build something great, but then the ethos is on top of that. And now, really, we have to protect that ethos. It's really important.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not rugging anymore, I believe.
No, you're good.
Okay. I think my VPN is working again. So I don't know. Can we take this back to TORUS again, or have we moved on?
Sure.
I mean, we're 3 hours in.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do. Let's go, Mike. I want to hear what you got, and then maybe we'll go tops like 10, 15 minutes more, and then like I gotta go touch grass or something because I've been staring at a computer all day. So
same. So okay, I think before I went off, the TORUS, there is 2 paths, right? The one which is creation, the other path is staking. So when you stake, you'll be part of this pool where you get extra TORUS tokens, and they are distributed daily. And like whenever you are staked, essentially, if you're staked on that day, you're gonna get. Is there like a staking minimum?
For staking, no. You could stake 1 token.
No. I mean like the length.
Oh,
the
yeah.
duration.
You could stake for as little as a day if you want to, but this is important. I love this question because when you are creating, you have to really understand. This is super, super, super important to understand. When you're creating or you're staking, when you create less tokens up front, so let's say you do a 1-day creation, right? That means you're only going to get on day 1 11.36 tokens. That's all you're going to get with creating with 100 power versus going the full 88 days, you get 1,000. So what happens here is now the shares are generated, remember, by the tokens you're creating multiplied by your length. So if you're only creating 11.36 tokens and you're only creating for a day, you only have 11.36 shares. Gotcha. You are tiny. So now you're paying a huge amount for no share of the pool. So realistically, staking is most likely going to be the longer. It probably won't deviate much from 88 days.
Okay. But I mean, you could stake for 1 day if you wanted to.
Totally. Absolutely.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in terms of benevolent actions, that is the most benevolent action possible. Just feed the system with all your economic energy and take nothing out of it.
Is that's a max stake? Is it 88-day max stake?
Yes.
Okay. That's
And what
okay.
happens at the end of that stake?
So as soon as day 88 hits and your time is done, so it's like time stamped 88 days specifically from 2 p.m. on day 1 to 2 p.m. day 88, right? And then as soon as that point hits, your shares are removed from the pool and you have a grace period of 14 days. So you are now no longer diluting the pool and you have a 14-day grace period where you can claim everything. After that, for the stake or your creations, you are going to lose what you've earned in the next 7 days evenly. So every day, the 14.2% of what you've earned is going to be removed until you only have your principal created or staked left. And then that's yours.
Okay.
You can't have that penalized.
Okay. So the principle stays essentially.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no penalties for what you've created or put in. That's like, I don't want to penalize people for life happening and forgetting, but you shouldn't earn reward for forgetting, basically just sitting on the sidelines doing nothing.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah. That's also interesting mechanics. Definitely.
Yeah. There's a lot of very, very tiny details that change that add a lot to it. So it's going to be one of those conversations that's like ever evolving in terms of slowly going deeper, slowly creating the whole picture of it.
Do you restake when you claim? Are you restaking, or are you, somehow using that claim to create?
So when you're, let's say your stake or your creation is done, right? You have a decision tree that you can do. You can either stake those tokens if the ROI is higher on the staking side, or you can compound. So you'd go through X28 back into TitanX, and then you'd put that TitanX back into the system. And now if the system is more favored to creating, what you're going to do is you're actually going to, like, the sum of everything you earned plus your principal will get you more principal tokens that you've created up front when you go to compound. And then you're going to be earning on top of that. But if you stake, you're not doing that. So that's why these two ROIs are different, because they allow you to compound on different sides. But on the creation side, you sell
with X28, or what do you create with?
TitanX or ETH.
TitanX or ETH.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you can stake with TORUS.
Exactly. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And you can, how do you create? Like, what's the process of creating? Is it like 88-day creators, or is it like
88? I like that. 88-day creators.
Yeah. That's literally it. You'd have you create, or you do 88-day creators. I like that too. And you just wait till it's done. You claim it. And you go your principal and your earned out.
You can also do shorter, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Shorter?
That's the max length. So you could do from 1 to 88 days, from 1 to 10,000 power.
Gotcha. So you can have more, more creates.
More creations.
More creations. Do you have 10 creations?
Now, can you always create, or does it cap at some point?
You can always create,
because it's already technically capped. So you can always kind of, maybe not. So it's like you can always create and you can always stake daily.
Exactly. It's up to you to decide what's most appropriate.
Gotcha.
And that's where the fun begins, because then you can, I've been really wanting to let the community figure out the game theory, but I'm like, you know what, there is so much to it. I'll say, like, if you're a bigger player, or if you're just on the fence, things are more stable. Maybe you have some stake, maybe you have some creations going on. So that way you're balancing. Or if you're a bigger player, maybe you're compounding some, so you're not wrecking your whole bag and you're staking some other part of your bags to reduce slippage, but you're still earning. I mean, like, there's a lot there.
I mean, the max stake being 88 days is interesting, because that's really something that we haven't seen, because it's quick. I mean, max stake have been long, 500 days or whatever. So 888 days even. So it's like having an 88-day max stake is really interesting, because now you're actually not delaying that stake so far out into the future. So But there's really, is there inflation, or is this acting as a cap supply?
It is disinflationary. So same as Bitcoin, where it just kind of the supply spikes in the beginning and then it slowly plateaus over time. But I would say it's a funny term, but it's hyper disinflationary. Because it's got a ton of buy pressure on it. It's got the buy and burn, which is going to eat up a lot of that supply.
I mean, technically, it's kind of cap supply.
I guess there is. Yeah, actually, there is a fixed amount that is going to come out, and I can tell you exactly what that amount is.
You said the fixed amount of shares is there, right? There's only a certain amount of shares that anybody can compete for, whether they're creating or staking, right?
Yep. Well, over 3,421 days, there is just under 117 million tokens that are going to be issued by the TORUS pool. That's it.
A public service announcement. Callum now needs to grow a beard. He's breaking tradition.
If you look, it's coming in. It's coming in slowly. One day of deving. Give it 100. Let's see what happens.
Before we go off on a tangent on Callum's beard, I wanted to touch on the 88 days and why I feel like that's actually super important to understand how it affects the system. If you go long periods of time within the system of inactivity, not bringing economic energy, right? You create this time where the buy and burn has to be stretched out. The buy and build has to be stretched out. And so by allowing people to constantly make decisions that benefit themselves and benefit the system, it allows for every time someone compounds, they sell and then they come back in. Like they take $1, they put it in the system, they take out $2, they sell it back into TitanX, then they put that $2 back in the system. They're essentially compounding the buy and burn over time. And so an action that is selfish for a user is also the best case scenario for the system as a whole and for everybody else, because you're giving the system more leverage to work with and more economic energy to work with over time. So by staking and creating for 88 days, you're allowing all that economic energy to constantly be rebuilt, instead of it just being punted out for like a long time and being stretched thin potentially.
It's an awesome idea. I really can't wait to see how it plays out. Because obviously, from your perspective, you probably have an idea, but I think there's always variables.
And the secret sauce is it's built on X28.
Ooh.
Oh, we haven't even talked about that.
This is gonna hit the supply like there's no fucking tomorrow. Like it's gonna be like a chainsaw through liquid. Oh man, yeah. And it doesn't even matter. It just does it in the background.
Yep.
It's insane. Like,
can you, because you just got me so fired up. Can you please explain to the good people like what you're referring to?
Yes. So when somebody goes in with either Ethereum or TitanX, the Ethereum that comes in buys TitanX, then all the TitanX, whether direct TitanX or bought with Ethereum, goes into X28, mints it, and then the X28 is used to buy and burn TORUS, etc. So the TitanX just gets transformed into X28. So essentially, 50% of what comes in gets burned, but it still has the same economic output on the back end because it's 1-to-1. It's X28, and then it's paired with X28 and uses X28.
Which means $10 million comes in, $4.6 million in TitanX is burnt. If $100 million comes in, yeah, and this is the thing. It does. Like, here's the thing about this protocol. It doesn't matter if it's right away. If it happens eventually, if $100 million cumulatively comes in over 1, 2, 3, 4 years, that means $46 million in TitanX is burnt permanently. And because it keeps operating, that number could go on and on and on. And because there's always an ROI potentially, that could always be burning in the background. So I love the chainsaw because literally that's what it's going to do.
Yep. And the user doesn't even know. Like we spent all this time talking about TORUS and it's just there in the background. Like people don't even need to know. It's just happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, then you have something like TORUS and everything else that's feeding this scarcity dynamic of TitanX, right? And at some point, if you've got like all these protocols that are taking chainsaws to the TitanX supply, and then people still have a demand for that TitanX, what is going to happen to the price? over time, in some way, shape, or form. It's going to have no choice but to start climbing, especially when we are growing adoption and we're bringing new people in, bringing new eyeballs, we're bringing new Ethan. It's just going to be awesome.
Even during the stream, we burned 250 billion TitanX during this 3-hour stream.
Let's go.
Just during
That's
these 3
impressive.
hours. Yep.
Damn, we need to do more of these streams because I feel like that we did it. We had an impact. I'm going to go with that.
We were the catalyst. Yeah.
Yeah, that was all us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good job,
I
guys.
agree.
Oh, man. Well, guys, I mean, this has been freaking awesome. I'm super stoked we can finally do one of these. I think we should do another one. Maybe it'd be cool to do like a weekly stream. I like Sundays. I like after the spaces too, because everyone's kind of already into it. If it works for you guys, it'd be fun to do something like this on Sundays.
I'll do
Yeah,
it.
sure.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Sounds good.
launching
Just
next
announce it.
Sunday.
Oh, okay. So we'll get a Stacks launch stream maybe.
Yeah, and we can run it all day.
Okay.
I'll
Actually,
be
How
I'll
much
be
time next
around.
week, then?
Okay. I'm realizing next Sunday, I just said that out loud, and I'm gonna have to do the whole takesies backsies thing because I know next Sunday I have stuff going on. But after this Sunday, I would
That's
love to,
fine.
even if
That's
it's another
fine.
day. Even if it's another day. But
I think dude will probably run one on off of Helios YouTube, and then he'll pop in and out as he can, and I'll just probably hang out. So, but yeah, I love it. I love it when we all get together like this. Thank you so much for having us. Really appreciate it.
my pleasure. Seriously. Well, guys, I think we should wrap it up. It's been 3 hours of my life that has gone by faster than I ever thought possible. But now, guys and gals that are watching, we're up to almost 1,300 people. Thank you all for being here. I hope you guys are having a blast and learning a ton. I know I did, and I'm really looking forward to getting out, seeing some sunshine. And we'll catch you guys very soon in another stream for more Build on TitanX protocols, Build on X28, Madness, and Alpha. We'll see you guys soon. Peace. Thank you guys again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Matrix launching on Tuesday.